My name is Alexandra Bennett, and I have been married to Ethan Bennett for 15 long years. Our life, outwardly perfect, was a facade hiding a painful truth. It was a chilly evening in November when my world began to crumble. I returned home early from a friend's art exhibition, anticipating a quiet night with Ethan and our son Nathan. But what I found was the stark opposite. I heard their voices before I saw them, Ethan's and a woman's, hushed, yet passionate. Creeping closer, I heard words that cut through my heart like a serrated knife. "Once she's out of the picture, we'll have it all, Isabel. Just a little longer." Ethan's voice slithered through the air. Isabel, his mistress, laughed, a sound so cold it could freeze blood. I can't wait to see the look on her face when she finds out. You're a genius, Ethan. Their cruel laughter echoed in the hallway, a sinister symphony that shattered my trust. I stood frozen, a statue of disbelief, as their plan to upend my life unfolded with each word. I had known about Ethan's infidelities, his late nights, the scent of foreign perfume, the lipstick stains I pretended not to see, but this was a betrayal of a different caliber. He wasn't just unfaithful, he was plotting against me, our son, our life. Stumbling back, I found myself in Nathan's room. He was my anchor, my 14-year-old, who looked so much like his father, but with a gentleness Ethan never possessed. "Mom, you're home early." Nathan's voice was tinged with surprise. "Is everything okay?" I forced a smile, my heart breaking in silence. "Everything's fine, honey. Just tired, that's all." I couldn't burden him, not yet. Not until I understood the full extent of Ethan's treachery. That night, as I lay in bed next to the man who had just vowed to dismantle my life, a plan began to take shape in my mind. Ethan thought he could discard me like an old toy, but I was not going to be a silent victim in his cruel game. The stakes were high, but I was ready to play. This was not just about me anymore, it was about Nathan, our future, and the justice we deserved. Ethan Bennett was about to learn that every action has its consequences, and I was going to be the one to teach him that lesson. Eleanor, my mother-in-law, was the unexpected ally in a house divided by secrets and lies. Despite her son's despicable nature, Eleanor's affection for me and Nathan had always been genuine. She was the first person I confided in about Ethan's betrayal. In the privacy of her quaint living room, with its floral curtains and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, I found the courage to speak. "Eleanor, Ethan is planning to leave me for another woman. He's been plotting this for a while." Her reaction was a mix of anger and sorrow. "That boy has always been selfish. But this, Alexandra, you and Nathan don't deserve this." Eleanor's empathy was a balm, but it was her next words that sparked a fire within me. "We need to protect you and Nathan. Ethan can't just get away with this." The conversation turned to action. We needed a plan, one that would expose Ethan's true colors and safeguard our future. It was a game of chess, and we were 2 moves away from checkmate. Meanwhile, Nathan's bond with his father was disintegrating. I overheard their conversation one evening, a dialogue laced with disappointment and unspoken accusations. "Why are you never home, Dad? You missed my soccer game again." Nathan's voice was a mix of hurt and accusation. Ethan's response was dismissive, his usual defense mechanism. "Business, Nathan. You'll understand when you're older. Priorities, son." But Nathan was older than his years. "Mom's always there. Are we not your priority, Dad?" The conversation ended with Ethan walking away, a cowardly retreat from a confrontation he couldn't win. Nathan's eyes, so much like his father's, yet filled with a depth Ethan never had, met mine. We didn't need words. Our resolve was unspoken. Eleanor and I continued to weave our web. We gathered evidence, bank statements, photographs, and messages. Every piece was a testament to Ethan's betrayal. Our plan was taking shape, a strategy not just for revenge, but for justice. As I tucked Nathan into bed that night, his innocent face asleep in the moonlit room, my resolve hardened. This was no longer just a battle, it was a war for our dignity, for our future. Ethan Bennett, in his arrogance, had underestimated the strength of the bonds he sought to break. He was about to learn that the ties of kinship were stronger than his web of lies. The morning I decided to confront Ethan was draped in an eerie silence. I had rehearsed this moment in my mind, but nothing could prepare me for the reality of it. He was at the kitchen table, his back to me, engrossed in his phone. Without a word, I slid the envelope across the table. It contained the irrefutable evidence of his infidelity, pictures of him with Isabel, receipts from extravagant gifts, and damning messages. Ethan's reaction was a cocktail of shock, denial, and then, disgustingly, amusement. "You've been snooping around, Alexandra? Is this some sort of joke?" His attempt to downplay his betrayal only fueled my resolve. "This is no joke, Ethan. You've been planning to leave me for Isabel. I know everything." For a moment, Ethan's facade cracked, revealing the coward beneath. "Alexandra, let's be reasonable. We can sort this out." "Sort this out?" I echoed, my voice rising. "You want to abandon your family for your mistress, and you think we can sort this out?" The room was thick with tension, a tangible force that seemed to suffocate any remnants of love we once shared. Ethan's next words were the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. "Alexandra, you're overreacting. Isabel understands me in ways you never could. I need someone younger, more vibrant." His words were a slap in the face, a confirmation of every fear and insecurity I had ever felt in our marriage. But they also ignited a fire within me, a fire of defiance and strength. "Vibrant?" I retorted, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Is that what you call betrayal these days?" It was clear then that there was no salvaging our marriage. Ethan had made his choice, and it was not me, not us. I left the room with a newfound determination. I would not be a victim of Ethan Bennett's selfish whims. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Meetings with lawyers, discussions with Eleanor, and late-night planning sessions. We were building a case, not just for divorce, but for justice. And then came the health scare, a routine checkup that turned into a series of tests, the results of which left me reeling. Possible breast cancer? The doctor had said, her voice a blend of professional detachment and sympathy. I was stunned, my mind a chaos of fear and uncertainty. But amidst the turmoil, a plan began to take shape. A plan that would expose Ethan's true nature once and for all. "We'll tell Ethan about the diagnosis," Eleanor suggested during one of our strategy meetings. "Let's see if there's any humanity left in him." It was a gamble, but one we were willing to take. Ethan's reaction to my potential illness would be the ultimate test of his character. It was a test I was almost certain he would fail. The day we decided to reveal my diagnosis to Ethan, the air in the house was thick with anticipation. Eleanor had come over, her presence a source of strength as I prepared to face my husband. Ethan returned home late, as usual, the smell of expensive cologne and deceit clinging to him. Eleanor and I sat in the living room, the envelope containing my medical reports on the coffee table. His eyes flickered with a blend of curiosity and irritation as he walked in. "Alexandra, what's this about?" "You said it was urgent." Ethan's voice held a note of impatience. I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. "Ethan, I went to the doctor last week. They suspect it might be breast cancer." The words hung in the air, heavy with the gravity of their implication. I watched Ethan closely, searching for a flicker of concern, of love. But what I saw was far more chilling. "Breast cancer? That's unfortunate," Ethan said, his voice devoid of warmth. "But what does this mean for us?" "Us." The word echoed mockingly in the room. There was no us, not anymore. Eleanor's gaze was piercing, her disappointment in her son palpable. "It means, Ethan, that your wife needs you now more than ever. She needs your support." Ethan shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between the envelope and the door. "Right, of course. We'll figure this out. I need some air." And with that, he left, his retreat as cowardly as it was revealing. His reaction, or lack thereof, was all the confirmation we needed. Eleanor's hand found mine, her grip firm. "We know what we have to do, Alexandra." The following weeks were a blur of activity. My condition worsened according to the narrative we fed Ethan. His visits were sporadic, brief, and devoid of any real concern. It was clear that his thoughts were elsewhere, with Isabel, with his escape plan. But Ethan wasn't the only one making plans. Eleanor and I, with the help of my lawyer, were meticulously crafting the trap that would strip Ethan of his power and reveal his true nature to the world. The climax of our plan came one evening when Ethan returned home to find his belongings packed in boxes, his precious possessions stripped from their usual places. "What the hell is this, Alexandra?" Ethan exploded, his composure finally cracking. "It's over, Ethan," I said, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside me. I know about Isabel, about your plans to leave me, and I won't be a silent bystander in your little drama anymore. Ethan's face was a canvas of rage and disbelief. You can't do this to me. I'm Ethan Bennett. You're nothing without me. But he was wrong. I was Alexandra Bennett, and I was more than he would ever understand. This was my retribution, my stand against the man who had vowed to love and protect me, but had chosen betrayal instead. As Ethan stormed out, his threats and curses echoing through the empty house, I felt a sense of liberation. The facade was gone, and the truth was laid bare. Eleanor stood by my side, her presence a testament to the strength of the bonds that Ethan had tried and failed to sever. You did well, Alexandra. Now let's see this through to the end. The day of reckoning had arrived. The morning air was crisp and charged with a sense of impending justice as Eleanor and I prepared for the final act of our plan against Ethan. I sat in the lawyer's office, my fingers nervously tapping on the polished mahogany desk. Today we were to confront Ethan with the divorce papers and the full extent of his financial betrayal. The evidence was laid out neatly in folders, each document a testament to his greed and deceit. Eleanor was a rock beside me, her resolve as firm as her disapproval of her son's actions. He won't see this coming, she whispered, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. The door opened, and Ethan walked in, his usual arrogance replaced with a hint of unease. He glanced at the documents, then at us, his expression one of wary confusion. What's this about, Alexandra? Why am I here? Ethan's voice was cautious, a far cry from his usual dismissive tone. I took a deep breath, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. This is about the end, Ethan. The end of our marriage and the end of your lies. Ethan's eyes widened as he flipped through the documents. Bank statements, property deeds, evidence of his financial infidelities, all laid bare for him to see. This can't be happening, he muttered, his composure slipping. You can't do this to me. Eleanor leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. You did this to yourself, Ethan. You chose betrayal over your family. Now you face the consequences. The lawyer, a stern woman with an air of unyielding authority, began to outline the terms of the divorce. The division of assets, the alimony, the child support, each point a nail in the coffin of Ethan's grand plans. Ethan's protests grew more desperate, his pleas more pathetic. You can't leave me with nothing. I'm your husband, Alexandra. We can work this out. But it was too late for negotiations, too late for remorse. There's nothing left to work out, Ethan. You made your choice. Now, I'm making mine. The meeting ended with Ethan storming out, his threats of revenge and legal battles echoing hollowly in the office. But his words held no power over me anymore. I had seen the man behind the mask, and I was no longer afraid. As we left the lawyer's office, Eleanor's hand found mine, a silent show of solidarity and strength. You're free, Alexandra. You and Nathan can start anew. And she was right. Despite the turmoil and pain, I felt a sense of liberation, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Ethan Bennett would learn that the price of betrayal was high, and I would be there to ensure he paid it in full. The house felt eerily quiet after Ethan's departure, the silence a stark contrast to the years of deceit and turmoil. But in that stillness, there was a sense of emerging victory. Nathan, now aware of the full extent of his father's betrayal, was a pillar of support. Mom, we're better off without him, he said one evening as we sat in the living room, a space that once echoed with Ethan's false promises. I nodded, pride swelling in my heart for the young man my son had become. Yes, Nathan, we are. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Ethan, stripped of his bravado, was a shadow of the man he once pretended to be. His once lavish lifestyle crumbled under the weight of the financial restrictions Eleanor and I had imposed. Then came the day of the final hearing. The courthouse was a monument to justice, its hallowed halls a fitting backdrop for Ethan's downfall. As we entered the courtroom, Ethan's eyes met mine, a mix of anger and desperation in his gaze. But I was no longer the woman he thought he could manipulate and control. The judge, a stern figure of authority, called the court to order. The proceedings were a blur, but each word from the judge was a strike against Ethan's fortress of lies. You have not only failed in your duties as a husband and father, Mr. Bennett, but you have also squandered your family's resources for selfish gains. the judge said, his voice echoing through the room. Ethan's plea for leniency fell on deaf ears. The evidence of his infidelity and financial misconduct was overwhelming. The judge's verdict was swift and unyielding. You are hereby ordered to pay substantial alimony and child support. Furthermore, your assets will be divided as per the agreed-upon terms. Ethan's face drained of color, his future as bleak as the judgment being passed. He had lost everything: his family, his reputation, and now his wealth. As we left the courtroom, Nathan's hand in mine, I felt a sense of closure. The legal battle was over, and justice had been served. Ethan's reign of deceit had come to an end, and with it, the chapter of our lives that he had tainted. We stepped out into the sunlight, the world seeming brighter, more hopeful. Nathan looked up at me, a smile on his face. Mom, we did it. We're free. Yes, we were free. Free from Ethan's lies, free from the shadows of the past. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. Ethan Bennett had learned the hard way that the wheels of justice, though they grind slowly, grind exceedingly fine. The days following the court's decision were a time of reflection and renewal. The house, once a battleground of secrets and lies, now resonated with the promise of a new beginning. Nathan and I spent our days planning for the future, a future unmarred by Ethan's shadow. One afternoon, as the golden light of the setting sun filled the living room, Nathan turned to me, his eyes thoughtful. Mom, do you ever regret it? Marrying Dad, I mean. I paused, considering the weight of the question. No, Nathan. Despite everything, I don't regret it. Your father gave me the greatest gift, you, and through all this, I've found a strength I never knew I had. Nathan nodded, understanding reflecting in his eyes. I'm proud of you, Mom. You stood up to him, fought back. It wasn't just for me, Nathan. It was for us, for our future, I said, reaching out to squeeze his hand. In the weeks that followed, news of Ethan's downfall spread. His reputation, once that of a successful businessman, was now tarnished beyond repair. But our focus was no longer on Ethan's fate. It was on rebuilding our lives. Eleanor remained a constant presence, her support unwavering. You've both been so strong, she said one day as we shared a quiet lunch. I'm sorry Ethan couldn't be the man you deserved, Alexandra. Eleanor, you've been more than family to me, I replied, gratitude welling in my heart. You and Harrison have shown us kindness and love, more than I could have asked for. As the seasons changed, so did our lives. Nathan excelled in his studies, his resilience shining through, and I found solace in my work, my art, rediscovering passions I had long suppressed under Ethan's shadow. One evening, as Nathan and I sat on the porch watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, I felt a sense of peace. The pain of the past was fading, leaving behind lessons and newfound strength. Mom, what's next for us? Nathan asked, his voice filled with hope. Whatever we want, Nathan. We have a whole world to explore, dreams to chase. We're free to live our lives on our terms, I said, my heart full of optimism. We sat there, mother and son, looking up at the vast expanse of the night sky, our hearts light with the promise of new beginnings. The darkness of the past was behind us, and ahead lay a path illuminated by the light of our courage and love. Ethan Bennett's shadow had been lifted, and in its place was the bright dawn of our new life, a life built on truth, strength, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her son.
Hello, I'm Kayla, a 36-year-old woman. The past few months have been really tough for me, and I'm having to relearn a lot of things. My husband Tom caused a lot of the trouble I'm in, but a kind person stepped in and helped me avoid even more pain. First, let me tell you about the people in my story. The first person is my sister, Maya. She's 6 years younger than me and very pretty. Growing up, we didn't get along because I was a nerd and she was popular. She always picked on me and seemed jealous for some reason. My mom tried to help us get along, but it didn't really work. When I went to college, we didn't talk much. But after I graduated and she was a teenager, we started talking again. Our relationship got a little better, but we never got really close. That was the best we could do, and I was okay with that. Next, let me tell you about my ex-husband, Tom. We met at work and got along really well. We dated for about 3 years before getting married. We worked hard and bought our first house together. I earned more money, so the mortgage and deed were in my name. After 2 years of marriage, Tom asked me about having children. Honey, I was wondering about something, and I need you to think about this with an open mind. All right, what is it? I've been thinking that we've been together for a while now, and maybe we could start a family of our own. Tom, you know how I feel about that. I know, but we have the money for it, and it would be really cute to have little versions of us running around, don't you think? Yeah, but kids are a lot of work and responsibility. We're the most hardworking and responsible people we know. Come on, give it some thought, okay? I promise I'll help take care of them. Just keep that in mind, okay? Even though I wasn't keen on having kids, I gave in because Tom kept bringing it up. First, we had a son, and 3 years later, we had a daughter. Initially, Tom was very helpful, but that quickly changed. Suddenly, I was responsible for everything at home, including the kids. After our first child, Tom insisted I stop working because he had gotten a promotion and was earning more than me. I tried to resist, but eventually, I decided it wasn't worth the fight and accepted my new role. To avoid getting bored at home, I took up a new hobby, hosting dinners. I often invited my mom and sister, who lived nearby, and my mother-in-law, Megan, whenever she was in town. Eventually, I started to feel comfortable in my new life. I got to spend a lot of time with my family, and that made me happy. Tom and I were doing okay. I had gone through some trauma after giving birth to our second child, where I almost died, which affected our relationship. I didn't think anything else was wrong, but oh, how wrong I was. As I was cleaning my room, I found a pair of panties that definitely weren't mine. My heart sank as I stared at them, wondering if I wasn't enough for my husband. I had been feeling different lately, but I had just had our second child. It had been over a year since then, and I was still recovering. I had been going to therapy, making slow progress. But it didn't seem enough because Tom was cheating on me. Once the shock wore off, I was filled with anger and betrayal. I needed to know who my husband was cheating on me with and why. First, I sent Tom a picture of the underwear and asked him whose they were. Then, I checked his laptop. I logged into his social media accounts and went through his chats. At first, I didn't see any unknown women, which confused me more. I looked through his messages but found nothing. In my desperation, I went through every chat, even though I knew it was foolish because everyone in his contacts was someone. I couldn't believe that anyone in my life could hurt me that much. Then I realized that my sister's contact ID was everywhere I looked. At first, I didn't think much of it because why would my sister and husband talking be suspicious? But when I checked their chats, I felt sick to my stomach. They were full of pictures and videos of them in bed, messages about how much they love each other, and plans for Tom to leave me. I couldn't believe my own sister would do something so awful. Our relationship had never been perfect, but this was a whole new level of betrayal. First, I threw up because I was so disgusted. Then, I tried calling Tom, but he didn't answer. So I called my sister. Maya, hey, what's up? Don't hey, what's up me? Seriously, what's wrong with you? I don't know about mine, but I do know that I found a pair of your panties in my bedroom. Have you been sleeping with Tom? Yeah, for a while now. Why, Kayla? Seriously, you thought it was okay to sleep with my husband because you thought I was boring. And being my sister didn't even stop you. Look, I thought I was helping you out. I was keeping Tom busy so you could focus on the kids. Are you serious? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Look, we didn't mean for it to go this far, okay? I only did it because he kept hitting on me, and he's a nice guy, Kayla. But he was my husband. Why would you help tear our family apart? I just want what's best for Tom, okay? If I'm the best for him, then so be it. You're disgusting. I hung up, unable to believe her nerve. I just lay in bed and cried. I never thought my life would come to this. Eventually, my youngest woke up crying, so I tended to her. I felt empty as I went through the motions of the day. I couldn't let my kids know something was wrong. They didn't need that worry. I picked up my older child from school, made dinner, and when they asked where their dad was, I lied and said he was working late. At some point, my anger turned into worry. It was almost 11 o'clock at night, and Tom still wasn't home. I tried calling him multiple times, but he didn't answer. I even tried calling my sister to see if he was there, but she didn't pick up either. Exhausted from the day, I went to bed, hoping it was all just a bad dream. The next morning, I woke up feeling like something was wrong. I looked around and realized Tom's things were gone from the room. I checked the cupboards and drawers, and most of his stuff was gone from the house too. He had left while I was asleep, without saying a word. I couldn't believe it. He just left me without even trying to talk. I didn't know what to do. All I could think about was taking care of my kids first. Then I'd figure out everything else. I woke up, got the kids ready, dropped off the oldest at school, and then took the youngest to my mom's place. She could tell something was off because I was distant. All I could think about was how I'd managed to raise 2 kids alone. Whenever I came back to reality, I remember I had to tell my mom about my sister and husband. Eventually, she couldn't wait any longer and asked what was wrong. Okay, I've had enough of your silence. What's going on? I don't know how to say this. Why don't you start from the beginning? Well, I found out that Tom has been cheating on me. What? How do you know? I found another woman's underwear in our room. When I asked Tom about it, he didn't answer and then left. He left? What do you mean? When I woke up this morning, all his things were gone. Gone? You didn't try to stop him? I didn't even realize when he came back. I fell asleep around midnight, and when I woke up, all his stuff was gone. Oh my God, my poor girl, I'm so sorry this happened. Yeah, it gets worse. Oh no, what happened? Do you know who Tom cheated on you with? You mean you know who he cheated with? Yeah, I snooped through his things to find out. I wouldn't have tolerated this under normal circumstances, but this is different. So, who is it? Maya. Excuse me? What? Are you serious? Yeah, my husband has been cheating on me with my own sister. I called her to ask about it, and she was so casual about it. She said they were in love, and she believed she was the best for him. So she was going to keep being with him. Oh my God, what has Maya done? I don't even know how I'm going to survive. I have 2 kids to raise and I need to find a job too. Look, why don't you just get some rest while I try to process this? I'll be here to help you, okay? Yeah, okay, thanks, Mom. I had become numb to everything that had happened, so telling my mom wasn't as hard as I thought. I ended up sleeping while my mom took care of my youngest. When I woke up, I heard my baby crying and my mom yelling. I rushed out and saw my mom on the phone looking angry. She hung up and seemed surprised to see me. She apologized for the noise but didn't say more. I knew she had been giving Maya a piece of her mind. Over the next few days, Mom stayed with us. It was easier having one person move and then 3. Maya kept trying to contact our mom, but she asked me to block Maya. It was comforting to have someone understand my feelings when I felt so alone. I found out through mutual friends that Tom and Maya got married. They'd reached out to me, concerned and confused. I had to explain everything, which was humiliating, but they were supportive. They all blocked Tom and Maya and refused to associate with them. But I found out they got married the day after Tom left us. It hurt to know, but I shouldn't have expected anything different from them. When I told my mom, she was furious. You should know, my mom is usually calm, so seeing her so angry with my sister was surprising. It was great to have her financial support. She wasn't obligated to help, but she did her best for us. She even helped me get job interviews because I wanted to contribute now that Tom wasn't there to stop me. Taking care of the kids was manageable, but when they asked about Tom, I had to hold back tears. Still, we got through it. A week later, I got a letter from Tom. I didn't want anything to do with it. I figured it was some apology, but I was done with him. A week was too long to try to fix things, especially after he ran away from his family. So I did the next best thing I could think of. I burned the letter. But afterward, I couldn't help but be curious about what it said. Sometimes I wished I had read it before burning it. But then I reminded myself that nothing he could have said would change how I felt about him and what he did. The next day, my mom and I took the kids to the fair. We had a blast, and it was nice to be in a lively place after everything. I finally got to have fun and laugh, which felt great after such a tough time. That night, my mom and I relaxed with a bottle of wine, and I told her about the letter. So something came in the mail for me last night. Oh, what was it? It was a letter from Tom. What? What did it say? I don't know. What do you mean? You opened it, right? No, I didn't want to deal with anything he had to say, so I burned it. You burned it? Kayla, what if they were official divorce papers? The envelope didn't look legal at all. I'm sure it wasn't that. Well, if you're sure. What do you think was in it? I don't know. Maybe a weak apology or a request for his stuff back. I wouldn't be surprised. But how are you feeling about all of this now? Well, today was a good day. It's tough, especially when the kids keep asking where their dad is. What do I even tell them? It's slowly getting better, but only a little. As long as it's improving. I'm always here for you, and just so you know, I'm planning to cut ties with your sister. Everything I have will go to you and the kids. Oh, Mom, that means a lot, but are you sure? Maya is still your daughter. I know you and Maya had your differences, but what she did is unforgivable. I raised both of you better than this, and Maya clearly didn't care. So she's no longer my daughter. I would have been upset if Mom changed her mind easily, but I knew Maya was still her child. I couldn't imagine how hard it must have been for Mom to make that decision, because I could never do that to my kids. It made me even more grateful to have someone so supportive. Another 3 days passed, and I heard a knock on the door. It was strange because I wasn't expecting anyone, and besides my mom, who was at work, no one ever visited. I opened the door cautiously and saw 2 men in black suits. I only opened the door a little and asked who they were. They said they were lawyers and had something for me. They handed me a note and then a check. It was made out to me, and it was for $750,000. My jaw dropped when I saw the amount. I tried to tell them there must be a mistake, but they said there wasn't and urged me to read the note. The note began with, "Thank you for saving me." As I read on, I realized the money was from my mother-in-law, Megan. She explained that she had visited us 3 days ago, but no one was home. She called Tom, who tried to make it seem like he couldn't get in, but I had changed the locks after he left. Megan sensed something was wrong with Tom's behavior and pressed him until he confessed everything. She was disgusted by his actions. Megan felt sorry for what I had gone through and decided to leave all her inheritance to me and her grandkids. She thanked me for preventing her from making a mistake and for not trusting her son with her assets. That's what the check was for. The lawyers then told me that Megan had been terminally ill and had passed away just the day before. She wanted me to have the money right after her death to ensure her daughter-in-law and grandkids were well taken care of. Tears filled my eyes at Megan's kindness and loss. She was truly remarkable, always standing up for what was right. It was one of the reasons Tom had always been afraid of her. Yet I found her comforting. She stayed true to her word and supported me until her last breath. A few days later, Tom called. I already knew what he was going to say, but I decided to hear him out. "What did you do?" "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean, Tom. You'll have to be more specific." "What are you talking about?" "Why weren't you home that day? I specifically asked you to be. I sent you a letter asking you to pretend everything was normal while my mom visited." "Oh, is that what the letter said?" "You didn't read it." "No, I burned it." "You betrayed me. My mother was going to help me with the inheritance, but you took it all because you're selfish." "That's ironic coming from you. You abandoned your family and only cared about contacting me when it involved your inheritance. Love can't be forced. I did what was best for me, and your mother did what was best for us. Don't ever try to contact me or the kids again. Goodbye." After that, things moved quickly. I filed for divorce, and I was granted full custody of the kids. Tom tried to fight for the inheritance, but Megan had made it clear that I was the one to receive it, so he didn't succeed. Tom and Maya tried to pressure me into giving them some of the money, but I stood my ground and refused. Life has become easier since we got the money. I put a portion aside for my kids' college and invested the rest. My mom could retire, and I started working. My kids have come to terms with their dad not coming back, and when they're older, I'll tell them everything. I'm still hurting, but I know things can only get better from here. Hi everyone, I'm Freddie, and I'm 21. My childhood wasn't happy. My dad, Carl, and I didn't get along. We used to be close, but everything changed when he divorced my mom and left us with a lot of money problems. It felt like he left me behind, like I didn't matter to him. He started a new life and focused on himself, his hobbies, and dating. After the divorce, my mom, Yasmin, and I had a tough time. We went from having a good life to struggling to make ends meet. My mom, Yasmin, worked very hard to take care of us after my dad left. She never gave up, even when things were tough. She started a small business and worked hard to make it grow. And it did. Our lives went from being difficult to being comfortable again. It was amazing to see my mom's strength and determination. But then something unexpected happened. My mom got sick. It was a big shock for us. The person who had fought so hard for us was now fighting a serious illness. It was a tough time for us, but we were determined to support her through it. My mom's illness turned our lives upside down. I took care of her and hoped she would get better. We tried everything, but sometimes things don't go as planned. Sadly, my mom passed away, leaving a huge gap in my life that can never be filled. As her only child, I had to face the difficult time after her death alone. While I was grieving, I found out that she had left her house to me. It was her last gift, showing me how much she loved me and the life we shared. When I entered the house, now mine, it felt like my mom was hugging me one last time. The house held many happy and sad memories of our time together. But what hurt me the most was that my dad, Carl, and his new wife, Rita, didn't even come to my mom's funeral. It was like he had completely forgotten about her and didn't care. This made me very angry. How could they be so cruel? Didn't my dad care about how I was feeling? Even months after my mom's death, the pain still felt fresh. I tried to find comfort in memories and friends, but I couldn't shake off the bitter feelings. The house my mom left me was beautiful, but it reminded me of her absence. I tried to make peace with the memories and make the house my own, but it took time. Things were getting better, until one day my dad, Carl, showed up at my doorstep unexpectedly. It had been months since my mom's funeral, and he acted like nothing was wrong. I opened the door, and our eyes met. He looked surprised to see the pain and anger on my face. He tried to smile, but it didn't work. We stood there in awkward silence, with a lot of unspoken words between us. I was angry and disappointed, and it was hard to keep those feelings inside. Finally, he said, "Hey, Freddie, can we talk?" in a sorry tone, but it didn't feel sincere. His presence in my house brought up a mix of emotions, and I just stared at him. I wasn't fooled by my dad's weak attempt to make things right. "Don't pretend to apologize, Carl. I'm not buying it," I said, my voice filled with anger. "You left us to struggle while you lived a life of luxury. Now you show up like nothing's wrong." Carl's face turned red with anger, and he became defensive. "You need to respect me, Freddie," he said firmly. I laughed in disbelief. "Respect is earned, Carl. You lost mine when you abandoned us for your own desires. You can't demand respect after all the pain you caused." As we argued, I saw Rita getting out of their luxurious car and walking towards us. Seeing her only made me angrier, remembering how my dad chose a life of extravagance over his family. When she reached the doorstep, I said, "What brings you here, Rita? You didn't even come to my mom's funeral, but now you're here." Rita made a weak excuse. "We were busy, Freddie. We had commitments." Her words only made me angrier. "You were too busy to attend my mom's funeral? That shows how little you care about her memory and our family." I felt a surge of anger and frustration as I looked at my dad and Rita standing in front of me. They were still the same selfish people who showed off their wealth and indulged in luxuries. Their presence in my home, acting like nothing was wrong, made me even angrier. "What do you two want from me?" I asked them. "Haven't you hurt me enough already?" "My dad," Carl said, "Freddie, we need to talk. The truth is, our life isn't as great as it seems on social media. We're struggling financially, and we even need to sell the Aston Martin outside to get some money for something important." Rita, who had been quiet until then, took off her coat, revealing her pregnant belly. I was shocked and angry. "You're telling me that you got someone pregnant who's young enough to be my sister? This is a sick joke, right?" I said, my voice filled with anger. Carl, now getting defensive, said some very hurtful things to me. His words were mean and unexpected, and I couldn't believe my father could be so cruel. "You think you're so smart, talking to me like that. I left you and your mom because I couldn't stand being around someone as stupid as you. You're useless and hopeless. I didn't do anything wrong, so shut up." I was shocked and couldn't believe what I was hearing. I just stood there, refusing to accept that my father was speaking to me like this in my own home. "Get out," I said firmly. "Get out before I call the police. Leave my property." Carl smiled slyly and said, "Actually, that's why we're here." "What do you mean?" I asked, my anger rising again. "You're going to have to leave this house, Fred. It's the only option," Carl said, his eyes gleaming with a sinister intent. I was furious, my heart racing with anger. "You're crazy, Carl. My mom gave me this house, the woman you abandoned. You think you can just take it away? Never. You think you deserve this house? Think again, Freddie. We need a bigger and better space for our growing family, Carl said, his words dripping with audacity. My anger was burning brighter than ever. How could he want to start a new family after leaving us just a couple of years ago? He's insane. You think I'll just leave? My name is on the deed, Carl. This house is legally mine, and you can't take it away, I said, standing my ground. Carl sneered at me. Are you sure about that, Freddie? I have connections. I know the county clerk, and a simple phone call could make your name on that deed to disappear. I was even angrier now. How dare he use his connections to manipulate the system and take what was mine? You'd stoop that low to steal this house from me? You're no better than a common criminal, I said, my voice strong and forceful. They were taken aback by my intensity. But as they realized they weren't going to win, they looked nervous and scared. They knew they had underestimated me and my determination to protect what was mine and my mom's. With all my strength, I yelled at them to leave my property immediately. They turned pale and finally left the house they had tried to take. Even though he was scared, Carl still tried to intimidate me with threats of ruining my life. You'll regret not listening to me, Fred, Carl said. I tried to be nice, but you didn't want that. Just wait, you'll be begging for mercy when I'm done with you. After they left, I was left standing there, my heart racing with anger, frustration, and determination. I knew this battle was far from over. In the silence that followed, I felt a sense of urgency. I knew my father had more power and influence than I did, and his connections and willingness to bend the rules posed a big threat to my dreams of keeping this house. I understood it wouldn't be easy. It wasn't just a fight for a physical space, it was a battle against a system that favored the powerful and well-connected. But I wasn't willing to give up. I would fight hard to protect the legacy my mother left me. The house represented memories, love, and sacrifices. It was a symbol of my identity and my journey towards freedom. With newfound determination, I took a deep breath and prepared myself for the tough journey ahead. The fight for justice had just begun. Weeks after our confrontation, my father still sent me hateful messages and threats. I ignored them, knowing they were meant to hurt me. Instead, I collected evidence, saved every message, and wrote down every word he said. I knew I had to take action, so I went to the county clerk's office. This was the place where my father's plan could become a reality, but I wasn't afraid. I had to face the person who had the power to make decisions. As I entered the office, my heart raced with anxiety and determination. I approached the clerk's desk, where a middle-aged man with tired eyes looked up at me. "Excuse me, sir," I said. "I need to talk to you about something important." The county clerk looked at me with curiosity and skepticism, studying my appearance. "What do you want?" he asked gruffly. I gathered all my courage and poured my heart out to the county clerk, sharing my story and all the struggles my mom and I had faced. I told him about Carl's absence at my mom's funeral and the threats that still haunted me. I showed him the evidence of Carl's manipulation and begged him to see the truth. As I spoke, the clerk's expression changed from indifference to genuine concern. "Please, sir, understand the truth," I pleaded. "Carl has twisted the story to make himself the victim. Don't let him deceive you and take what's rightfully mine. I'm all alone and need your help." The clerk's eyes softened, and he leaned back in his chair, taking a moment to process what I said. "I had no idea," he said, shaking his head. "I have a son around your age, and I can't imagine what you're going through. Carl made himself out to be the victim, saying you were a spoiled brat, but something didn't feel right. Maybe that's why I was hesitant when he asked for his favor." I had a feeling something was wrong, but I didn't realize it was this serious, he said. His words were like a shock to my already hurting heart, but they gave me hope that someone was finally listening. I felt a glimmer of hope that things might work out fairly. "Thank you for listening, sir," I said, my voice full of thanks. "Your understanding means a lot to me. I just want you to see the truth behind Carl's lies." The county clerk nodded, looking determined. "I'll do what's right, but you have to promise not to tell anyone that I'm doing this as a favor. Sometimes I help my friends in ways that aren't exactly legal, so if you tell anyone, I'll find you and make sure you regret it." I swallowed hard, scared of the man in front of me. "Honestly, sir, I don't care if you're not following all the rules. I just want to make sure my house is mine and my father can't control it." "I've got it," he said firmly. "I believe you've been through a lot, and you shouldn't have to worry about owning your house again." Leaving the office, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. The battle wasn't over yet, but I had hoped that the truth would come out and I would get what was mine. I went to my father's house, but it looked empty and abandoned. The fancy furniture was gone, probably sold to prepare for the new baby. After waiting for a long time, Carl finally opened the door, looking terrible. He hadn't slept or showered in days, and seeing me made him even angrier. "What do you want?" Carl growled. "I just came to tell you something," I said, standing up for myself. "I'm keeping the house, and you can't make me leave. So give up trying." "Like hell you are," Carl yelled, his face red with anger. "I'm your father, and I get to decide." "You're no father to me, just a pest," I shot back, my anger rising. Carl sneered. "We'll see about that. I always get what I want." I smiled, feeling triumphant. I already talked to the county clerk, and he's on my side. I have the papers right here, and the house is mine. Carl's face contorted in shock and horror as he realized his plan was falling apart. He stuttered, trying to find words, but I just laughed, celebrating my win. "You can't tell anyone I tried to help you, or we'll both get in trouble," Carl said, his voice desperate. "Looks like you and Rita need to start house hunting," I taunted, rubbing it in. Carl's face fell. "Actually, Rita is leaving me. She's not happy that I couldn't get your house quickly enough, and she's given me an ultimatum." I shrugged. "That's tough for you." Carl's eyes begged me. "Freddie, please, let me move in with you. I can't take it here anymore. Everything is too much for me. I haven't slept or eaten, and Rita is driving me crazy with her demands." I laughed. "You're still acting like a child, even at your age. You think I'm going to let you stay with me? Think again. Try a homeless shelter. They might have room for you." Carl's face twisted in anger. "You're a heartless and thoughtless person. You'll regret this, Freddie." I smiled. "I'm not scared of you, Carl. You're getting what you deserve. Karma's a bitch, isn't it?" As I walked away, I knew Carl's life was going downhill. He became a social outcast, and his alcohol addiction took over. I heard Rita divorced him, took most of his money, and left him alone and hopeless in a hotel room, struggling to figure out his next move. But I knew I had won, and I was ready to fight for anything my mother left me. Carl would never dare to confront me with the same anger and entitlement again. I was no longer a kid, and I had a lot to lose. "I'll fight for anything my mother left me," I said firmly. "And if he's foolish enough to try me again, I'll make sure he regrets it." Hey, I'm Kenneth, but everyone calls me Ken. I just turned 33, and let me tell you, I've got quite a story to share. Before today's events, I didn't really believe in karma or anything spiritual. I thought it was all just in people's heads. But now, I've had a change of heart. I totally believe that what goes around comes around. And it's all because of my mean mother-in-law and her family. Well, except for my amazing wife, she's the exception. Despite growing up around all that negativity, she's still a wonderful person. Now let me tell you about the crazy stuff that happened on a sunny Wednesday morning in my house. "Hey, could you come down here real quick?" "What's up, honey?" "I need to ask you something, and please, please don't say no." My wife gave me those adorable puppy dog eyes, and honestly, who could resist that? She explained how her mom, Georgina, was coming to town and needed a place to stay. I knew what she was getting at, and I quickly said no. "But babe, it's just for the weekend. Can't you handle having a sweet old lady around for a couple of days?" Let me tell you, that lady was anything but sweet. She was like pure evil, I kid you not. Dealing with her was like living in a horror movie. I often wonder how my wife turned out so kind despite having such a nightmare for a mother. As I started explaining why I couldn't handle having Georgina around and suggested she stay in a hotel, Kimberly started looking really sad. And like I said, I can't resist her sad face. She's got me wrapped around her finger. So reluctantly, I agreed. Kimberly was over the moon, thanking me like crazy. "Since you're being so good about this, I'll make sure she behaves too. Don't worry. Hopefully you won't even have to see each other. It'll all be smooth sailing, I promise." Well, that promise didn't last long because what happened next was totally unexpected. It was Friday afternoon, and Georgina, my mother-in-law, was about to arrive. We prepared the guest room with everything she might need and some stuff she likes, hoping it would keep her from causing drama. Around noon, the doorbell rang. Kimberly, busy in the kitchen, called out, "I think she's here, Kenny. Can you get the door, please?" I prepared myself and opened the door. Standing there was a woman with a not-so-friendly expression. It wasn't a smile, it looked more like a scowl. My mother-in-law, I greeted her. Hello, Kenneth. Hi there. How was your trip? Are you doing okay? I welcomed her inside, taking her stuff and doing all the host stuff without being too pushy. But I could feel my irritation building as she started her never-ending complaints. Wow, Kenneth, the patio looks amazing. Did you do this? Yeah, it looks absolutely lovely. I'll need to snap some photos soon. Oh, could you take those bags upstairs to my room, dear? And could you also make me a coffee? I'd like a caramel macchiato with whipped cream, please. Did she think this was a Starbucks? If you've ever seen A Streetcar Named Desire, you might get an idea of what Georgina was like. She acted just like Blanche, all high and mighty with a touch of fake innocence. She strutted around like she was a gift to the world. I can't stand that kind of arrogance, especially when she's being rude. Just then, Kimberly came out of the kitchen to greet her mom. You look stunning. Oh, come on, Kimberly, do I? You're just saying that. Well, you do look great. It's this new diet I'm on. You should try it. You could use it, sweetheart. But not this weekend. This weekend is for relaxing. That's why I ordered my caramel macchiato. Speaking of which, Kenneth, when's my coffee going to be ready? I'm thirsty. I need something to drink right now. I might faint. See what I have to deal with. After enjoying a delicious lunch prepared by my wonderful wife, I had to quickly Google how to make a caramel macchiato. Georgina made it her mission to point out every little flaw in the meal, followed by a quick, it's fine. Don't worry too much to soften the blow. But she made sure to remind us to be extra careful next time to avoid making those silly mistakes, as she called them. She seemed to enjoy talking down to us, and while I could handle it, I could see it was getting to Kimberly. I mean, how could she not be bothered? That was her mom, after all, and Kimberly didn't have a mean bone in her body. I couldn't say the same for myself, though. I'm the type who likes to get revenge when I can. Later in the afternoon, Georgina went on and on about how much she loved the house. Well, she had a unique way of expressing her love for it. Sure, my time in Bora Bora was nice, but Zanzibar was even better. The scenery was stunning and the people were lovely. This vacation won't be as fancy as those, but it's still a vacation. Maybe it'll humble me a bit, since I've been to so many fancy places. It'll be a nice change of pace, I guess. I'll be honest, I zoned out of the conversation many times, and whenever I checked back in, it was still going on. Georgina had a way of making things drag on longer than they needed to. Anyway, we spent the afternoon chatting, mostly Kimberly and Georgina. I was just there, like a decoration, making sure Kimberly was comfortable. Every now and then, I'd chime in to make it seem like I was paying attention. Around 4 p.m. that evening, things started to get a bit weird. You know, Kimberly, I've been complimenting your house ever since I got here, and I have to say, it's stunning. Thanks, Mom. We've been working hard to make it nice, and Kenny and I spent a lot of time getting ready for your visit. It's so good that I can't keep this beauty to myself. What do you mean, Mom? What are you saying? Well, you know, on my trips to places like Cancun, Fiji, or India, I always bring along some friends or family. I don't like traveling alone, especially as I'm getting older. It's become a bit of a tradition for me to have companions like Ursula or Justine. Oh, that sounds nice. How are they? It's been a while since we talked. Funny you ask, because they're actually on their way here now. You can catch up with them yourself. Kimberly nearly chokes on her coffee at this unexpected news. I would have done a spit take too if I had anything in my mouth, because I was shocked at what she just said. But I kept my cool and managed to say, Kim, let's go to the kitchen, now. We headed to the kitchen to talk about this bombshell. Please tell me she's joking, babe. I don't think she's joking, but you only told me she was coming. We only prepped for one person. I'm just as surprised as you are, babe. I didn't know anything until now, just like you. I started pacing in the kitchen. So what do? I guess we'll have to tell her we only prepped for one person, and maybe we can put the girls up in a hotel. They can come over during the day to hang out with Mom. I sighed in frustration. This was also inconvenient, wasn't it? Nope, a sarcasm. As much as I cared about Ursula and Justine, my aunt-in-law and sister-in-law, I wasn't keen on entertaining them all weekend. They were a bit like their mother, not as bad, but having them all around would be chaotic. We argued about it until Georgina herself showed up in the kitchen. What's the problem? I think it's a nice idea to have other family members join us for the weekend. She started pouting, and strangely, it had the same effect on Kimberly as Kimberly's pouting had on me. When she wanted to, Georgina could get her way with those puppy dog eyes. I guess Kimberly inherited that skill from her mom. Oh no, Mom, please don't be upset. It was a nice thought, but we just can't handle this sudden change, especially on such short notice. Kenny and I were thinking of putting Ursula and Justine up in a nearby hotel, and they can come over during the day. Angeline is also coming with them. So you want 4 extra people in the house? I'm sorry, Georgina, but that's not going to work. Oh, Kenny dear, don't be such a stick in the mud. Jolene has to come. She hasn't been part of the tradition, and she really wants to join in. Plus, she's your younger sister-in-law. We have to make room for her. And honestly, you're not even considered part of our real family, so it makes sense for you to leave and for the girls to stay. It's just for a couple of days after all. Mom, how can you say that? Kenny is our real family. Is he though? You're putting him above your actual sisters. That's not what I meant, Mom. The main issue is space. We're worried there won't be enough room for everyone. I'm glad you brought that up because I've come up with a solution that will please everyone. Okay, let's hear it. Okay, so here's my idea. Ursula and I can share the bed in the guest room since it's big enough, and Jolene can sleep in Kimberly's bed. There was silence. I was completely lost. I looked at my wife, and she seemed just as confused. Finally, I asked, so you want 3 people to sleep in one bed? That's uncomfortable and inappropriate, don't you think? Yeah, Mom, we're adults now. It's not appropriate for me, my husband, and my sister to share a bed. Aha, I knew you'd say that, which is why I think it's best if Kenneth doesn't stay here during this time. Again, silence. At that moment, I think she finally lost it. So you want me to leave my own house? Kenny dear, don't call me that. Kenneth, don't talk to me like that. Kimberly, are you going to let him speak to me like that? Look, I don't appreciate you coming into my house and making last-minute demands. It's not fair. If you wanted a girls' trip, that would have been fine if you planned it in advance. Why didn't you just tell us what you wanted? And saying I'm not your real family was rude. I didn't think you'd get so upset now. Honestly, you're acting childish, don't you think, Kim? I don't know what to say, Mom. I don't think it's fair. Oh, you dumb people and your sensitivity. I didn't do this on purpose. It must have just slipped my mind. I'm sure you understand. I didn't quite understand, but when I looked at my wife, she was silently pleading with me. I caved in, feeling frustrated, and said, Georgina, better communication would have been appreciated. As I said earlier, I wouldn't have minded if you ladies wanted a girls' trip for the weekend. I could have gone on a trip with the guys or worked at the orphanage. But springing this on us isn't fair. We're adults, even if you see us as your kids. You're a guest in our home, and you need to respect that. I stayed calm and politely pointed out her mistake. She scoffed, walked around, and even laughed at times, seemingly trying to avoid the embarrassment of being confronted by her sister-in-law. Nevertheless, I stood my ground. You want to have a girls' trip and have everyone here for the weekend. Fine, you want me out of the house. That's fine too, but I'll be back after the weekend. With that, I kissed my wife on the cheek and headed to our room. Kimberly tried to reason with her mother, telling her that what she did wasn't okay and that she seriously upset me. But Georgina just laughed it off, treating me like I was overreacting. I packed some clothes in a duffel bag and left. I booked a hotel room online and headed there, but not before stopping by the orphanage where I regularly volunteered. As I mentioned before, the orphanage is called Open Arms, and I love working there. But dealing with unruly and disobedient toddlers, children, and teenagers is no easy task. As I spent the evening playing and helping out the children, I couldn't shake off the thought of how to get back at Georgina. I'm not evil, or at least I don't think I am, but I do believe in teaching people a lesson when they deserve it. I guess that's why I'm good at my job. I had a good connection with the kids, showing them both love and discipline so they wouldn't take advantage of me. We got along well, to the point where some of them could tell something was bothering me. Ken, is everything okay? One of them asked. Yeah, everything's fine, I said, apologizing for losing my cool. I explained the situation to him in simple terms. He was just a kid, after all. But surprisingly, he understood and even sympathized with me. With all due respect, Ken, your mother-in-law is crazy. Tell me about it, I replied. You've got to get back at her somehow, just to teach her a lesson, right? But how? We thought about it for a while, but I couldn't come up with anything. Then Maverick said something that changed everything. We could help. What do you mean? We could help. If you take a handful of us kids and bring us to your house, we could ruin her weekend. I thought about it, and then it clicked. Maverick, true to his name, was an evil genius. It was a perfect plan. The kids would get a fun weekend away, and I could get back at my mother-in-law for disrespecting me. We made plans like two evil geniuses plotting world domination and waited until the next day to put our revenge into action. The next day, Saturday, went like this. Kimberly answered the doorbell and was surprised to see Maverick and a few other kids. Why, hello, Kimberly, Kenny. Oh, Maverick, hello, how are you? Then she noticed the other kids and looked confused. What's going on, babe? Oh, nothing. I thought I'd bring the kids along to join in Georgina's lovely vacation, I said as I walked into the room, followed by 5 kids aged 6 to 10. They were known as the rowdiest bunch, but they could be sweet when they wanted to be. It was when they felt disrespected that they'd let loose. I promised them ice cream if they caused chaos. Hello, Kenneth, how are you? Oh, who are these lovely children? Good morning, Georgina. I hope you're all well. I see the rest of the gang made it. Hey, Kenneth, how are you? I'm well, thank you. Who are these kids? Oh, these children. They're from the orphanage. Yes, we can see that. But why are they here? Good question. Maverick, would you like to answer that? Well, Ken told us about the lovely vacation you were having in his home. And we've never been on a vacation, so he invited us over to join in. The in-laws, who were sipping mimosas and eating croissants in the living area, gasped in horror and shared looks of disbelief. Some of the kids started grabbing food from the table. Bacon, pancakes, orange juice, causing chaos. Georgina stood up and pulled me aside. What's the meaning of this? Just as Maverick said, I wanted the kids to have their own little vacation. I'm sure you wouldn't mind. How can you bring all these kids into the house? This is too much, and someone named Maverick is bound to cause trouble. This was supposed to be a relaxing weekend for me and the girls, you know this. Oh well, I'm sure you wouldn't mind. It's only for a couple of days after all. Listen, I know you're upset. No, you listen here, Georgina. I'm tired of you acting like you own the place. If you want to stay here for a vacation, that's fine, but the kids are staying too. They deserve to enjoy just as much as you do. So maybe next time you'll remember it's not nice to inconvenience others. And with that, I didn't give her a chance to respond. I walked back into the living room to see the chaos unfold. The little girl, don't you dare touch that. That's an expensive designer bag. Stop it. You little troublemakers are causing chaos. Is this what vacations are normally like? Because if so, count me out. The ladies were being harassed by the unruly children, causing chaos. You might wonder how Kimberly felt. She was in the corner snickering. She found it funny too. You might also wonder how I felt watching my house get torn apart. It was worth it to see the looks on my in-laws' faces. I didn't mind cleaning up. Maverick promised they'd help. I just wanted to witness the chaos as the prim older ladies dealt with the chaotic children. Well, everything seems in order. I'll be on my way. I'll pick up the kids tomorrow or Monday. Cheerio. And with that, I left, laughing in my hotel room. I called Kimberly and told her the kids weren't meant to bother her, just the snobby ladies. If she needed a break, she could stay with me. That day was one of the best of my life. Hello, my name is Macy. I'm 42 years old and have been married twice. My second marriage has been wonderful, but my first was a disaster. My first husband's name is Bobby, and we were high school sweethearts. I was a cheerleader and he was a jock. We had a lot of fun together, and he made me happy back then. He was my first boyfriend, so I did everything for him because I thought he was the one I'd be with forever. We planned to go to the same university so we could stay together, but in my second year, when I was 19, I got pregnant. My family was upset, and I wasn't thrilled either. My mom kept telling me that life with Bobby wouldn't be easy. My family never liked him but couldn't really explain why. They just had a bad feeling about him. As a teenager, I wanted to prove them wrong and rebel. so I ignored their concerns. Both our families agreed to support us until we graduated and got good jobs, and I'm still very thankful for that. Bobby and I got married at the courthouse and had our first child. At first, Bobby was a great father, and I felt like I was proving everyone wrong. Then 2 years later, I got pregnant again. By then, I had graduated from college, but I had to quit my job to take care of the kids. Bobby worked 2 jobs to support us. Life was hard. But at that time, I felt that as long as I had Bobby with me, I could handle anything. But a couple of months after our second child was born, Bobby started acting very differently. I tried to talk to him about it, but he wouldn't listen. One day, I took the kids out for a walk and came back to an empty apartment. All of Bobby's things were gone. I panicked, and seeing me panic made the kids cry. I tried calling him several times, but it went straight to voicemail. I remember rushing to my mother's house with the kids crying while I tried not to break down. When my mother opened the door, she looked worried and let us in. "What happened?" she asked. "I think Bobby left me," I said. "What? What do you mean?" "I took the kids for a walk, and when we got back, all his stuff was gone. I can't reach him." "Oh no, do you know why he might have left?" "I don't know. He'd been acting very differently for a while. But he wouldn't talk to me. And then today, he just left." "Okay, calm down. We'll wait a while, and if he doesn't come back, we'll file for divorce. I'll help you out." But I loved him. How could he do this to his children? "I know. I wish I could find him for you and ask him all these questions, but we have to move on. Not because he'll heal you, but because you have 2 kids to raise." My mom was right. I spent the next few months painfully getting over him while raising 2 kids who looked a lot like him. I cried myself to sleep many nights, but eventually, months turned into years, and I slowly got over the pain. My kids obviously asked questions about their father, and when they were old enough, I told them the truth. They were devastated but surprisingly understanding. As a family, we learned to live past the pain. My mom was a huge help and made raising 2 kids much easier than it would have been alone. 13 years after Bobby left, I met my current husband, Fred, at a bar during one of my friend's birthday parties. My mom was watching the kids, so I thought it was a good time to relax and have some fun with my friends. Most of the night, I stayed with my friends, chatting and laughing. Towards the end of the night, Fred approached me. My friends had been encouraging me to meet someone for years, but I was too traumatized by Bobby to try. So when Fred came up to me, my friends stepped back to watch as I talked to him. He started by asking if he could buy me a drink. I wasn't going to turn down a free drink, so I said yes. We waited until we got our drinks to start talking. "So what brings you here?" he asked. "Ah, it's my friend's birthday, and I'm just here to celebrate with her," I replied. "That's nice. How about I send over some drinks for all of them?" he offered. "All of them? There are 7 more people there." "It's all right. I'll make up all the money I spent here the next 2 hours, so no worries." "So you're rich? Ha, I guess you could say that. Of course, I'm not trying to brag or anything. No, it's a great thing to flaunt. Not a lot of people get to do that, and you aren't being a jerk about it. You're buying a bunch of strangers drinks because I told you it was one of their birthdays. What can I say? I have a particular weakness for pretty women. You're so weak you believe everything they say, even lies." "Yes, of course. Although did you lie?" he asked with a playful smile. "No, it is one of their birthdays. But it is concerning that pretty women make you weak. You should get that checked," I joked. "How about you help me with it? Maybe if I had a pretty woman by my side, I'd only have a weakness for one woman," Fred replied with a playful smile. It was a confidence boost to be called pretty by Fred, especially because he was so handsome. He looked like he could be on the cover of Vogue. I surprised myself by flirting back with him. I was usually quite introverted, so I don't know if it was the drink or just Fred's charm, but I felt comfortable being flirty. Eventually, my friends came to get me, thanking Fred for the drinks. Before I left, Fred and I exchanged numbers. From then on, we talked all the time. We started with texts, then moved on to calls whenever we had free time or something interesting to share. We also started meeting up more often. At first, we met in public places, but as time passed, we began hanging out at each other's homes. I was shocked when I saw Fred's house for the first time. It was like a mansion. Fred laughed and told me to get used to his wealth because it would soon be mine. Fred was very open about wanting to marry me, He told me countless times how comfortable he felt around me, and that just made me love him more. He was also completely okay with me having kids. When I told him about Bobby, he was genuinely upset for me. After that, he went above and beyond to show me how much he cared about me. Fred and Bobby were like night and day, and being with Fred made me realize why so many people didn't want me to be with Bobby. I was glad I got out of that relationship, but I hated how it ended. Fred helped me heal and move on from it, which I was incredibly grateful for. We only dated for a year before getting married. We had a destination wedding and flew out our closest friends and family. My kids were thrilled for me and constantly told me how much they loved Fred, which was a huge relief for me. Life from then on was smooth sailing. Fred eased all my worries and even helped with my kids' education, despite me insisting I could handle it. He showed me that he accepted all of us, not just me. He decorated my kids' rooms exactly how they wanted them before we even moved in together. Fred did everything Bobby didn't and more. It was a true turning point for my family, and that's how we grew into what we are today. From then on, Fred and I had a child of our own, but he never treated my kids differently. About a year after our marriage, my kids asked him to legally adopt them, which was another big moment for our family. After that, we became one big family. We did all the things families do, going out to eat, going on vacations, having fun together, you name it. My career was going well, and Fred's company was thriving too. There wasn't a single thing wrong in my life. Before I knew it, 7 years had gone by. Then, one day, out of the blue, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello," I answered. "Look who it is. It's Macy." "Who is this? Don't you recognize me?" "Ah, I don't think you remember much anyway. It's Bobby here. How are you doing?" the voice said. "Bobby? What the heck? How did you even get my number?" I asked, surprised. "Ah, I forgot how whiny you are. I just happened to come across your number and thought I'd give you a call to see how you've been," Bobby replied. "How has life been treating you since?" he asked. "Since you left me? Oh, come on, Macy. We were having way too much trouble, and both you and I know that we would have gotten divorced anyway. So you just chose to leave without saying a word." "Well, I wanted to avoid all the emotional drama, so I did what I had to do," Bobby said. "You are unbelievable. A pretty rich piece of work. Do you even realize the harm you caused me? Leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me." "Are you serious right now?" "Yes, I married a wealthy woman with kids, but I was willing to overlook it because of her money. And it paid off because she got me this amazing job that pays me so much. I'm living my dream." "So you abandoned your own kids to take care of someone else's. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Please never call me again. Goodbye." I was stunned by the sheer audacity of that man to call me just to brag about his new rich lifestyle. Part of me wanted to keep talking to him just to find out where he was, so I could give him a piece of my mind. But I was so overwhelmed with emotions that I could barely think straight. After I hung up on him, I felt hurt, not for myself, but for my kids. They grew up without a father who was too busy taking care of his new wife's children. We struggled, but what did he expect? We were just high school graduates when we had our first child. Where would we have gotten the money for ourselves? At the same time, I felt disgusted. He was the epitome of a sleazebag. He only cared about someone if they had something to offer him. I decided to block his number because I didn't want to deal with him anymore. That chapter of my life had been closed for long enough, and I never wanted it reopened. I told Fred about it later that night, and he was understandably upset but also glad that I blocked Bobby's number. We decided to move forward from that. About a week later, I received another call from an unknown number, and once again, it was Bobby. I was getting frustrated by his constant calls. He called to brag about his luxurious lifestyle, his new expensive car, and how well his kids were doing at school. I didn't bother being polite this time. I just hung up on him. But that didn't stop him. He kept calling every week after that, telling me about his extravagant purchases. I blocked him with every new number he used, but he kept finding ways to reach me. Eventually, I stopped answering his calls altogether because he was becoming a nuisance. It seemed like he enjoyed bothering me. One day, when I was stressed at work, Bobby called me again. "Oh, hey, Macy," he said. "Can't you just leave me alone?" I snapped. "Oh, come on. I'm just trying to make up for lost time," he replied casually. "Well, you're 20 years too late. The kids don't care about you, And neither do I. Leave me alone, I said firmly. You know you love it, Macy, he replied. I really don't. I don't want to hear anything about you or your new good life. Why? Are you jealous? Are you jealous I'm living the life that you'll never be able to live? He taunted. I can assure you I'm not. Well, here's something that will definitely make you jealous. I just got a promotion. I don't give a crap. You know you're jealous. I just got a promotion at Digidom, one of the finest media companies. I'm going to hang up, I said, ending the call. I was furious and annoyed after the call, but something Bobby said kept nagging at me. I was too angry to think about it at the moment, so I pushed it aside. When I got back home, I couldn't shake the feeling, and then it hit me. Bobby mentioned working for Digidom, one of the top media companies in our city, and it struck a chord because Fred is the CEO and founder of that company, my husband. I couldn't believe how perfectly the universe had aligned. This meant I finally had a way to teach Bobby a lesson, not just for bothering me but also for abandoning his children. I waited eagerly for Fred to come home, bubbling with excitement to tell him about my day. Did something happen? Why do you seem so hyper? Fred asked when he saw me. Nothing happened per se, but I did find out something big, I said, unable to contain myself. Oh, what is it? He asked, intrigued. Bobby called again. That sick guy. If I could get my hands on him. Fred started, his anger evident. That's the thing, he might be closer than we thought. I interrupted. Huh? What do you mean? Well, today he called me to brag about his big promotion at work, and guess where he works? I said, a grin spreading across my face. You mean to tell me that he works at my company? Fred exclaimed, disbelief evident in his voice. Yeah. At first, I couldn't help but think his company name sounded really familiar, and then it hit me. I explained. Did you really not remember the company I created? Fred teased. Listen, I was way too angry to remember my own name. Cut me some slack, I joked back. I'm kidding. Anyways, do you want me to fire him? Fred asked. Absolutely. But before you do, I was wondering if there was any way to humiliate him, I said. Definitely. Bold of you to think that I wasn't going to fire him in the worst way possible for him, Fred chuckled. With that, we began planning our revenge. We decided to wait a few more weeks before executing our plan to fire him. We would record his calls to me and play them in front of everyone at a big company event in 2 months, which Bobby would be in charge of. There would be several big names present, and we would tarnish his reputation. Over the next few weeks, I answered Bobby's calls calmly, knowing I had the upper hand. I listened to him boast about his wealth and my lack of it, all while recording every conversation. These recordings would come back to haunt him, and I couldn't wait. At the end of the 2 months, the event arrived. Normally, I avoided big crowds, but this time, I wanted to see Bobby's downfall while I sat on the throne. Fred bought me a stunning expensive dress for the occasion. I stayed in the car until Fred called me, not wanting Bobby to see me and run. I entered when Fred introduced me during his speech. As I walked on stage, Bobby's face dropped. I smirked as I passed him, watching him sweat. Fred praised me and spoke about our wonderful years together, raising my kids. With every word of praise, Bobby seemed to sweat more. I beamed with pride as the crowd applauded me. Then Fred's speech took a surprising turn. He spoke about how I had been harassed by my ex-husband recently, detailing how he had abandoned me and our kids to start a new family with someone wealthy. But fate had a twist in store because my ex-husband worked for Fred's company. The crowd murmured in shock, speculating about who my ex could be. Fred quieted them down, promising to reveal the identity. He pointed at Bobby, declaring him to be my ex-husband. The crowd buzzed with disbelief. Bobby looked like he might faint, realizing there was no way out. Fred wasn't finished, he had proof. He played the recordings of Bobby's calls to me, exposing his behavior. Bobby froze as the truth unfolded. Fred announced that due to Bobby's actions, he was fired. The crowd cheered as Fred and I left the stage. Bobby was escorted out, and the event continued smoothly. Revenge was served, and it tasted sweeter than anything else. You're quite bold to call me again after last night. I answered the unknown caller. You tricked me, the voice on the other end exclaimed. What do you mean? I asked innocently. You absolute witch. Don't play dumb with me. How could you not tell me that you were married again, and to my boss no less? As I've told you before, Bobby, I simply didn't care about you, I replied calmly. I know that, but the least you could have done was inform me, he retorted. So you would only stop harassing me if you knew who my husband was? And if my husband wasn't your boss, you would have continued. I countered. Don't twist my words. Bobby protested. I'm not twisting anything. And if we're talking about decency, Bobby, let's talk about you abandoning your family. If you could do that, I can certainly do this. Enjoy your new life, and I hope you find a new job, I said firmly. I don't have a family anymore. My wife left me because of yesterday, and she took the kids. And it's all because of you. Bobby lamented. I didn't do anything. You did this to yourself. Goodbye, Bobby, and good luck, I replied, ending the call. It felt empowering to finally stand up to Bobby and know that I had caused him to lose everything. I hope he learns never to mess with me or my family again. Fred and I continue to thrive together, and our kids have grown into wonderful adults. My life is peaceful once again, and I no longer stress about Bobby's calls. I finally feel vindicated and free. Thank you for listening to my story. Hi, it's Tara here, and I've got a story to tell you. It happened a few months ago, but it's still fresh in my mind. I want to share it to help you understand toxic behavior and when to stand up against it. I'm 32 years old and live with my husband Stephen, who's also 32, and our kitten. Stephen and I have been together since high school. We got married young and went to different colleges, but our relationship stayed strong. Next month, we'll celebrate 15 years together, but there's a hitch. My mother-in-law, Lily, won't be joining us. Lily never really warmed up to me. She has 2 sons, and she's always doted on them since they were born. In her eyes, no one is good enough for her boys. When Steve and his older brother C were kids, they enjoyed all the attention from their mom. They loved her a lot and didn't notice how controlling she could be. As they got older, Lily's controlling ways became a problem for her teenage sons. They weren't allowed to date or hang out with girls outside of school. Lily didn't let them have sleepovers with friends and threatened to punish them if they argued. Steve and Sean went to the same high school as me, so I knew them a bit. While Steve kinda agreed with Lily's rules, Sean rebelled. He often got in trouble for sneaking out and hanging out with girls. His mom even came to school once to threaten his girlfriend at the time. What Lily didn't realize was that Sean had grown a backbone and didn't listen to her anymore. He stood up for Jessie, his now wife, when Lily tried to scare her away and insult her. When they turned 18, they started avoiding Lily more and more. Lily wasn't happy about it at all. Stephen also thought Sean went too far. We were still new in our relationship, so I didn't say much to avoid arguments. But then Lily started targeting me. She did everything she could to break us up, even planning an expensive trip to Hawaii during prom week to keep us apart. Stephen did ask her to cancel the trip, but that was the only time he stood up to her. Whenever Lily criticized me and said hurtful things, Stephen didn't defend me. He even started believing her when she said I might cheat on him when we went to different colleges. We ended up taking a short break, and Lily took Stephen out to celebrate our breakup. She never thought Stephen would come back to me. She was furious that we got back together. She kept harassing and humiliating me every chance she got. I tried talking to Stephen about it, but it didn't go well. Hey Tara, you know my mom is really disrespectful to me. I've always tried to be nice to her, but all she does is criticize me and call me names. I'm getting fed up with it. Can you talk to her about it? Tara, my mom's still upset about what happened with Sean. She's worried about losing me too. She just wants what's best for me and my future. Try not to take her words too personally. So you're okay with how Lily treats me? Seriously, Steve, remember when she tried to break us up? She only did that because she was worried you might cheat. If you had cheated on me, I would have been really hurt. She was just trying to protect me from getting hurt. Are you serious? She used your fears against you to break us up. How can you defend that? No matter what I said, Steve never saw things from my point of view. He always thought I was overreacting and believed Lily was just trying to protect him. He refused to believe me when I said Lily calls me to criticize me. He insisted Lily would never do such a thing and accused me of lying. Even Sean tried to talk sense into him. After hearing everything, Steve argued with Sean, saying he betrayed their mom. Things got weird between Sean and Steve. Sean ended up marrying Jessica, the same girl Lily tried to scare off. He invited Steve and me but didn't tell Lily about the wedding. Lily was furious and tried to get Steve to convince Sean to invite her. Steve, always siding with his mom, argued with Sean because of Lily. He almost didn't go to the wedding to support her. I said to him, "Are you really going to skip the wedding to support Lily? Remember what she did to Sean and Jessie in high school? She still complains about Jessie and blames her for taking Sean away. Why should they invite her to their wedding? Look, you don't know everything. It's all a big misunderstanding. Mom was just trying to do what she thought was best for Sean. She can get carried away sometimes, but she's willing to patch things up. We're family and we shouldn't hold grudges. It's their wedding, and they can choose who to invite. It's not our place to make demands. We should respect their decision. I know I can't change much, but that's why I'm not going to the wedding. I want them to realize they're making a mistake. I'll RSVP tomorrow. They'll still have time to reconsider." "Stephen, if you skip the wedding, they might cut you out too." "They've already done that to Lily. Are you sure you want to risk losing your brother over this?" After a lot of arguing, he finally agreed to go to the wedding. I was relieved, hoping things might improve. He saw how happy Sean and Jessie are without Lily's interference. They even moved far away and had the wedding there to keep Lily away. When Stephen showed Lily the pictures, she lost it. She cried on his shoulder and made him stay with her for a month. He even canceled our trip to Colorado to make it up to her. I was really upset by how he handled everything. However, I knew our love ran deep, and breaking up wasn't an option anymore. I just hoped Stephen would see the truth about Lily's awful behavior. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Stephen finally proposed, and I said yes. Lily was upset but pretended to be happy for him. Later, I found out she refused to give him her engagement ring because she thought I was a gold digger and our marriage wouldn't last. I love the ring Stephen picked for me. We're both engineers, so we make good money. He could afford to buy the ring himself. Plus, I'd rather wear something he chose than have Lily's jewelry. Wedding planning was a mess. Lily kept getting involved in everything, from cake tasting to picking a venue. She had to have a say in everything. She didn't like my ideas and tried to change the theme. Lily said my vintage theme was boring and tacky. I ignored her, but Stephen didn't. We discussed every decision carefully. I finally spoke up. "This is getting ridiculous. It's our wedding, not hers. Your mom needs to give us space to decide for ourselves. I don't want her input on everything. She hates everything I choose. You need to tell her to back off." "Tara, Mom just wants what's best for us. She's been to more weddings than us, so her input could be helpful in the future. You know, she missed Sean's wedding. She just wants to enjoy mine." I'm tired of hearing that excuse. She deserved to be uninvited from Sean's wedding. That was all her fault because Jessie didn't let her interfere. I won't let her control everything. She's welcome to be involved, but she can't criticize my choices. This is our wedding, Stephen. She already had hers. After a lot of persuading, he finally told Lily to back off. She threw a fit but calmed down a bit. Unfortunately, Stephen still went along with a lot of her choices. I was sad at first, but I knew it was also Stephen's day, so I went along to avoid more trouble. I wasn't confident enough to stand up for myself, and Stephen was too influenced by his mom to think clearly. The wedding turned into another disaster when Lily showed up in a white dress that looked like a bridal gown. Thankfully, Stephen realized the problem and insisted she change before the ceremony. She pretended she didn't have another dress. But my maid of honor came to the rescue with a dress I had bought for her. Lily had no choice but to wear it. During the reception, she made tearful speeches about feeling like she was losing her sons to awful women like me and Jessie. She tried to make herself out to be the victim and criticize our relationships. It made everyone uncomfortable, even her own family. My maid of honor took the microphone away and tried to lighten the mood. On our honeymoon, Lily called us constantly, crying about feeling lonely. She called Stephen repeatedly, and when she couldn't reach him, she called me. "Where's my boy? What have you done to him? It's only been a month since the wedding, and you're already taking him away. No matter what you do, he'll always choose me over you. He'll never love you more than his mama." "Lily, we're on our honeymoon. You can't keep calling us like this." Stephen's phone died, so he went back to our room to charge it. "Why would I keep him away from you? I know how you are, Tara. All you want is his money. You can't stand the fact that he supports me. He sends me money and gifts every month. You want to isolate him so you can take all his money. But I won't let that happen. He's been taking care of me since his father died 10 years ago. Lily, I don't care if he supports you. You're his mom, so of course, he helps you out. I earn enough for both of us, so I don't want his money anyway. You need to stop accusing me. Shut up. You may fool him, but I know what kind of woman you are. Now give the phone to my son right now. I need to talk to him. Dealing with her on our honeymoon was just one of many tough conversations. When we got home, she cried for days because we didn't take her along. It was surprising when she scolded Stephen for going without her. But as usual, he focused on comforting her and ignored my concerns. I was slowly learning to handle her tantrums and speak up for myself. Things were okay until I found out I was pregnant. We were thrilled, and Stephen wanted to tell Lily right away. I was nervous, but I figured she'd be happy about her first grandchild. I couldn't have been more wrong. As soon as she found out, she started crying and yelling. She accused me of trapping Stephen with a baby to take him away from her. She even claimed I cheated on him and was passing off the baby as his. My husband tried to calm her down, but she wouldn't listen. I was tired of her drama by then. Her tantrums lasted for 2 weeks before she decided to visit us. She came early in the morning and let herself in with a spare key. Lily acted overly happy about the baby and even brought me gifts. Stephen thought she had finally accepted the baby, but I wasn't so sure. That evening, Lily offered to make us tea because it was chilly outside. Stephen was grateful for her kindness and gave me a look like he was saying, "See, I told you she's okay now." I decided to investigate. I excused myself and went to the kitchen to check on Lily. I saw her making tea and adding something from a carton. Both my husband and I are allergic to lactose, so we only use a specific brand of oat milk. The carton Lily used wasn't ours. She used the oat milk for 1 cup and the other carton for the other. I thought maybe she was just using a different kind of vegan milk for variety. But I was still uneasy when she handed me the suspicious mug. I panicked and switched cups with my husband when they weren't looking. We drank our tea, but Lily just smirked at me the whole time. Luckily, nothing happened that night. But in the early hours of the morning, I heard my husband throwing up in the bathroom. He kept going back and forth, and it woke me up. Eventually, he came out and lay down on the couch, looking like he was in a lot of pain. Lily came out too and looked worried when she saw him suffering. She started crying. That's when I realized she had used cow milk in our tea. I was furious, but first, I had to get Stephen to the hospital. I called 911, and they sent an ambulance. Stephen was in a lot of pain and almost passed out. We got to the hospital, and the doctor said he needed to stay overnight. When the doctor came for a consultation, I made Lily confess to everything in front of Stephen. She was worried about her son, so it wasn't hard to get her to admit it. The doctor shook his head and said Stephen needed to stay in the hospital for a day. Stephen looked troubled, and suddenly he started to see through Lily's actions. He was baffled by what she had done. He asked her, "Mom, you know I'm allergic to milk. Why did you use it? We don't even keep cow milk in our fridge. Why did you bring it here? And Tara doesn't drink cow milk either, you know that." "Stephen, believe me, I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't know how this happened. I know you can't have milk. I'm your mother." "Then why did you put milk in my tea, Mom? What happened?" Lily just kept crying in the corner. That's when I decided to tell him the truth. "I know why Lily brought cow milk into our home. You see, it wasn't meant for you. It was meant for me." "What?" "Tara, you can't have cow milk either. Lily knows that. Why would she bring cow milk for you? I don't understand." "Lily wanted to hurt me and our baby. I don't know why, but she wanted me to suffer. She gave me the cup you drank from. I switched our cups because I didn't want to risk our child's health. Turns out, I was right. There's no way she would do that." "You're lying, Tara." "Mom, say something. You told me you were happy for us. Tell me you didn't do this." Lily started wailing and screaming. It got so loud that a nurse had to take her out. None of us wanted her there anymore. Stephen was shocked and traumatized by what she did. He apologized to me and promised to keep Lily away from our lives. I comforted him as best I could and took him home the next day. I changed the locks on our house while he was in the hospital. He called Lily and told her we were cutting off contact for good. More crying and wailing followed. "Mom, after what you've done, I don't want you around. I've always defended you, but I see now how much you've hurt my family. I won't allow it anymore. You've crossed the line." "Stephen, please. I didn't mean for this to happen. I felt lonely because you were spending all your time with her. I thought the baby would make things worse. I just wanted to hurt her a little and make her suffer. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't change what you did. It's unforgivable. I can't even imagine what would have happened if Tara drank the tea you gave her. I'm disgusted with you, and I don't want to hear from you again. Leave us alone. With that, we started cutting off contact with her. She showed up at the house and tried to get in with her keys. When she saw we changed the lock, she started banging on the door. We called the cops and let them handle it. We blocked her on all our phones and social media. Sean and Jesse informed our extended family about the situation. Everyone was disgusted and appalled by her behavior. After discussing Lily's actions with me, Stephen, Sean, and Jesse, we decided to get a restraining order against her. We had evidence from our security cameras and her confession to the doctor. The order was granted quickly. So far, she stayed away but has tried to gather information from our extended family. No one has entertained her demands, and we've cut off financial support, so she had to get a job at Walmart. We're rebuilding our relationship with Sean and Jesse. Stephen and Sean had a heart-to-heart conversation and resolved their issues. Jesse and I were always close, so this brought us even closer. Thankfully, my husband has finally seen the truth and protected me from Lily. We're happy and eagerly awaiting the birth of our child. To be safe, I made it clear to Stephen that Lily won't have a relationship with our child. To my surprise, he agreed immediately. Our household is peaceful now that Lily's gone for good. We might move to Scene City after our child is born. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know we'll face it together. Hello friends, my name is Mia, and I'm here to share the story of how my mother-in-law's actions backfired on her. Rita, my mother-in-law, might blame me, but she brought it on herself by trying to break up my marriage to her son, Nigel. If she hadn't tried to interfere, she wouldn't have ended up divorced. Here's what happened and how I finally removed Rita's toxic presence from my life. Rita absolutely hated me. Why? No reason. She hated every woman her son Nigel dated. She had an unhealthy attachment to Nigel and believed that any woman he dated was trying to steal him away from her. Her husband, my father-in-law Luke, wasn't like her at all. He is a kind man who still treats me like his own daughter, which is why I was so angry when I found out about Rita's betrayal. Here's what Rita tried to do. When Nigel and I announced our engagement, she accused me of cheating with my best friend. It was a ridiculous claim with no evidence, just based on her suspicions. My best friend, who is a guy, and I have been close since childhood. We have a great relationship but respect the boundaries set by our spouses. We even go on double dates and trips together. Nigel always trusted me and knew I was faithful, but Rita didn't see it that way. A man and a woman can't be that close without something going on. I bet she's cheating on you, Rita said to Nigel. Mom, you're being ridiculous. Mia and her best friend are just friends. She's not cheating. They hardly ever meet alone. I trust my fiancé completely, Nigel replied. You're naive, Nigel. Mia is only with you because you have a good income. She might even try to trap you with a baby, Rita insisted. I don't know what you're talking about, Rita. None of that will happen. I love your son, and my best friend is just my best friend. Nothing is going on between us. You're being insulting when you say those things, I added. I know you're lying, Mia. Don't pretend to be innocent with me. I know your type very well, Rita retorted. Of course, Rita knew about girls like that. She was one of them. But that would come to light later. Nigel didn't believe her ridiculous lies, and we got married anyway. She tried to tell everyone that he was marrying a cheater. Some family members were confused, but once Nigel explained the truth, they were angry at Rita and apologized to me. Nigel and his father confronted Rita and yelled at her. Although she wasn't sorry, she promised to behave from then on. I really thought Rita would change and stop her nonsense, but she didn't. Her next move was even worse. The beginning of Rita's downfall started when I got pregnant with our first child. It was a boy, and everyone was happy for us. Nigel was thrilled to become a father, and Luke was excited to be a grandfather. The only one who wasn't happy was Rita. She revived her Mia as cheating claims and even said the baby wasn't Nigel's. We were all furious, and Nigel tried to keep me out of the drama to avoid stressing me out. Now here comes the fun part. As soon as my son was born, Rita saw him and said, "This child can't be my son's. He looks nothing like Nigel did as a baby." This can't be your son, Nigel. Mom, what is wrong with you? This is my son. Not all babies look exactly like their parents did as babies. I didn't look like Dad as a baby either. You are being ridiculous, Nigel responded. Nigel, open your eyes. This child is too light-skinned to be yours. We're all too tan to have a baby with this skin color, Rita insisted. What on earth are you talking about, Rita? You're being absurd. The baby's skin is lighter because I'm fair-skinned, and babies' skin colors can change as they grow. Use some common sense before you accuse me, I argued. We had a huge fight with Rita about this. In the end, Nigel kicked her out of the hospital and was really angry with her. But Rita didn't waste any time. She immediately started spreading rumors that the baby wasn't Nigel's. Some people started to doubt us, especially since we didn't want the baby around everyone before he was a month old. Rita's gossip and pressure from others were getting to us. Finally, I gave in and agreed to a DNA test. Nigel didn't want me to. Mia, you don't have to do this. I trust you completely. I know our son is mine. Rita can go jump in a lake, Nigel said. Nigel, please. I'm tired of Rita insulting me and everyone assuming things. This drama has gone on for too long. I have nothing to hide, so let's just get it over with, I said. Mia, Nigel, I think there's something you need to know, Luke interrupted. What is it, Dad? Nigel asked. I don't know how to say this, but Nigel, you might not be my biological son, Luke said, his tone serious. We were all at home when Luke dropped this bombshell. He had been acting strangely for a while. So we were on edge, but we never expected him to say something like this. Nigel was especially shocked. Dad, what are you saying? Listen, I saw a doctor recently, and some things he said made me question whether I'm your biological father. Are you serious? Oh my God, are you sure? It's possible. There's a good chance, Nigel, and I think it's time we found out for sure. Mia, don't tell Rita about this. Let's get me and Nigel tested. I want to confront her when we have the results. She's planning a family dinner for when the DNA reports for Nigel and my grandson come in. Honestly, I was speechless. I agreed to the plan because it seemed like the best option at the time. Nigel and Luke were too overwhelmed to handle it, so I took charge. The DNA test was done, and true to her word, Rita arranged a family dinner to reveal the results to everyone. She was clearly eager to embarrass me. But in her rush, Rita grabbed the wrong envelope. Nigel, Luke, and I noticed, but we stayed quiet. You can imagine our shock when Rita excitedly announced, I was right. They're not a match. My son isn't the father of Mia's son. Mia is a cheater. Rita was ecstatic when the results showed no connection between the people tested. She saw it as a chance to kick me out of Nigel's life. She danced around, shouting to everyone that Nigel wasn't the father of my child. But I didn't react. Meanwhile, Luke and Nigel were pale and trembling with anger. Rita thought they were angry at me and said, See, I told you all Mia's a cheater. Nigel isn't the father of her child. That's not my grandson. Mia's trying to pass off some stranger's kid as Nigel's. Oh, my poor boy. I tried to warn you, but no one listened. Rita, you should have checked the DNA results in private before announcing them to everyone, I suggested. Why would I do that, Mia? Everyone needs to know what a cheater you are. I'm not going to cover for you. You deserve to be kicked out of our lives for this, Rita snapped. Nigel couldn't take it anymore. I could see how furious and betrayed he felt. I didn't try to stop him from speaking out. Stop it, Mom. Just stop. Mia isn't going anywhere. She's my wife, and I love and trust her. She's the mother of my child. Nigel, what are you saying? These results clearly show the child isn't yours. Mia cheated on you and is trying to trap you with a baby. Here, look for yourself, Rita urged, handing Nigel the papers. No, I don't need to look. You need to double-check these results and think before you accuse. You shouldn't have pushed for the DNA test. Look at the mess you've caused, Nigel replied. Nigel, I know this is hard to accept, but it's the truth. Mia cheated on you. She's making you raise someone else's child, Rita persisted. At this moment, Luke found his voice and thundered, breaking his shocked silence. He was furious and ready to confront Rita. So, Mia's making Nigel raise someone else's child, just like you tried to pass off Nigel as my son years ago. Luke accused. Luke, what are you talking about? Nigel is your son, Rita exclaimed. I'm not like Mia. who sleeps around with everyone. Why are you attacking me because of her? Rita defended herself. Why don't you double-check the report, Rita? It'll help you understand what's going on. These are the DNA tests between Nigel and our son. Look, it clearly says they're father and son, I explained. What? Then why does this document say they're not related? What's happening? Rita exclaimed. If you read it carefully, you'd see it's for Nigel and Luke, and it says they're not related at all. Nigel isn't Luke's son, I revealed. Rita looked at me in disbelief. Her secret of 25 years was out, and she couldn't stop it from spreading. She called family members to expose my supposed secret, but it backfired when her own secret came out instead. Luke and Nigel were furious, and Rita knew she was in trouble. She kept reading the report, hoping it was wrong. No, this can't be true. Nigel is Luke's son. We were trying for a child when I got pregnant with him. Nigel is your son, Luke, Rita insisted. Oh really, Rita? So you're saying the reports are wrong and you didn't cheat on me? Luke challenged. Nigel is your son, Luke. Mia's trying to trick you with this paternity test to get back at me, Rita insisted. This wasn't just Mia's plan, Rita. It was mine too. Remember how I went to the doctor recently for tests? Well, it turns out I've been infertile my whole life. I never knew because I never went to the doctor before. Nigel can't be my son, Luke revealed. No, this can't be happening, Rita cried. This can't be true. I even have a feeling I know who Nigel's real father is. It's Fred, isn't it? Your ex before me, Luke accused. Rita turned pale when she heard Luke's accusation. Her reaction confirmed our suspicions. Nigel remained silent, clearly hurt and angry. I could see the pain and fear in his eyes. The room was filled with a sense of betrayal, and everyone looked at Rita with disbelief and anger. Even her own mother looked ready to faint. No one knew about Rita's affair or Nigel not being Luke's son. It was a disaster for her, and she started crying when Luke spoke. You don't need to say anything, Rita. Your reaction says it all. You cheated with Fred, didn't you? Luke said calmly. It doesn't matter now. My love for you is gone. I suspected this for a while, and now that it's out in the open, I want a divorce. Luke, what are you saying? That was in the past. I ended things with Fred as soon as I found out I was pregnant with Nigel. He doesn't even know about Nigel. You're Nigel's father, through and through, Rita pleaded. That's right, Rita. I've been Nigel's father for 25 years. I don't care what the DNA test says. Nigel is my son, and he always will be. He may not be my biological child, but he's my blessing. I'll be his father for as long as I live, Luke declared firmly. Luke's words were exactly what Nigel needed to hear. He had been terrified of losing the only father he'd ever known. When Luke reassured him, Nigel broke down in tears. I held him close, trying to comfort him while Luke and the others confronted Rita. Rita tried to salvage the situation. You're right, Luke. You raised Nigel for 25 years. He's yours. Let's just forget about the DNA test and move on. We can? No, Rita. Just no, Luke interrupted. Things will never be the same. Every time I look at you, I'll be reminded of your betrayal. Nigel may be my son, but you're no wife of mine. A woman who cheats on her husband can't be my wife. I'm divorcing you. That's final. No, Luke, you can't do this. We've been married for 30 years. You can't leave me over this, Rita pleaded, shocked and desperate. But nobody was sympathetic. Even her own family was siding with Luke's decision and hurling insults at her. Rita continued crying, begging for forgiveness. Then she turned to Nigel, hoping he could sway Luke. Nigel, look at what your father is saying. He's going to leave me. Please, don't let him. Please, make him understand, Rita implored. Don't you dare call me son. I don't want to call you mother anymore. You've been deceitful, dragging Mia through the mud when you were the one hiding the truth. I can't even look at you, Nigel snapped. No, Nigel, I am your mother. I gave birth to you. I'm sorry, son. I'm so sorry for everything. Please don't hate me. I made a mistake. Mia, please. You're a woman. You understand. Please help me make them understand, Rita pleaded desperately. I never expected this to happen. Rita was so desperate that she started begging me for help. It was pathetic and disgusting. She thought I would overlook her sins just because I'm a woman. How could she think I'd be on her side? I wanted her to suffer for what she'd done. Oh, hell no, Rita. You brought this on yourself. You were the one pushing Nigel to divorce me, claiming my son isn't his. Now that it's true for you, did you really expect me to support you? You targeted me and my innocent son for nothing. You betrayed my husband and my father-in-law for 3 decades. You don't deserve anyone's forgiveness. I agree with Luke. He needs to divorce you. It was a mistake, Mia. You're an honest woman and I know you care about your family. Your new family is about to be torn apart, Mia. Please don't let it happen. My family consists of me, my son, Nigel, and Luke. You're not part of that family, Rita. A woman who treated me and her own family so badly can't be considered family to me. I don't want you anywhere near me or my son again. The rest is up to Nigel to decide, I stated firmly. I don't want you near me either, Rita. Stay away from me and my family. Dad is doing the right thing by divorcing you. You brought this upon yourself. You wanted to prove a son doesn't belong to his father, to break up a marriage. Well, congratulations, Rita. It's happening to your own family now, Nigel added, his voice icy and controlled. Rita looked stunned, as if she'd been drenched in ice water. Nigel's calm demeanor surprised everyone. He didn't need to raise his voice to convey his message. It was clear he meant every word. Rita sank to the floor, avoiding eye contact. Family members berated her, but I felt no sympathy. Luke informed her she needed to leave his house soon. It was his property inherited before their marriage. Living in an at-fault state, Luke could sue Rita for paternity fraud, possibly avoiding alimony payments. Rita was in serious trouble now. As days passed, Luke stayed true to his word. He wasted no time in consulting a divorce lawyer the next day and initiated the eviction process against Rita. She threw a dramatic tantrum, full of tears, begging, and shouting, but Luke remained firm in his decision to remove her from his life. Rita bombarded Nigel and me with texts and calls, pleading and making excuses for her actions. We read a few messages before blocking her altogether. Then Rita showed up at our doorstep, tearful and desperate. Luke's kicking me out, guys. I have nowhere to go. I only have a little money left for a divorce lawyer. I need a place to stay. You can go wherever you like, Rita. We won't be providing you with shelter. We've made it clear we want nothing to do with you, I responded firmly. I'm your mom, Nigel. Why are you calling me by my name? I am your mother, Rita pleaded. I was seething with anger. While I was glad Rita was facing consequences, the paternity ordeal had taken a toll on both Nigel and Luke. Luke coped in his own way, but Nigel was struggling. It was heartbreaking to see him in such pain while also caring for our newborn. Rita acting like it was no big deal infuriated me. I'm sorry, Rita, but you've lost that privilege. You're nothing more than a stranger to us now. And Nigel's right. We won't be providing you with shelter, I declared firmly. Mia, please, don't do this. My grandson needs his grandma, Rita pleaded. Don't you dare call my son your grandson. Your own son refuses to call you mom, and you can't suddenly be a grandma to a child you never wanted in your life. Don't try to guilt us using my innocent child. It won't work. We've had enough of you, Rita. It's time for you to leave. Don't bother coming back, because I'll call the police. Trust me, you don't want more legal trouble after this. It sounds like Rita faced the consequences of her actions head-on. After some more tears and pleading, Nigel firmly shut the door in her face. It was satisfying to see her facing the consequences of her actions, considering the havoc she wreaked on so many lives. Eventually, she left when she realized we wouldn't budge. Rita mostly stayed away until it was time for her to leave Luke's house. She tried to beg and guilt-trip us into letting her in again, but we stood our ground. When we threatened to call the police, she finally left. I heard she found a place to stay with a friend who got her a job in their office as a warehouse worker. The divorce proceedings were messy, with Rita trying to tilt things in her favor, but her excuses fell flat in our at-fault state. They divorced in 6 months and went their separate ways. Rita continued to harass Luke to get her old life back, but he remained firm. Now she's miserable, working in a warehouse and barely scraping by. She's been cut off from the entire family and excluded from parties and gatherings. Meanwhile, Nigel and Luke are doing much better after starting therapy. It's heartening to see their strong bond endure despite the paternity revelation. We still have our weekly family dinners, and Luke often visits to spend time with his grandson. Overall, we've managed to return to our normal lives while Rita is left to wallow in loneliness and misery. Hey there, I'm Stacy, and I'm 37 years old. My husband, Eric, and I were throwing a party at our house to welcome back my brother-in-law, Uncle Isaac. He had just come home after spending 5 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Yep, you heard that right, prison. But before you jump to conclusions about him or our family, let me tell you, Isaac was innocent. He got caught up in something he had nothing to do with. It took 5 long years of legal battles to prove his innocence and set him free. So you can imagine how excited we all were to have him back with us. The party was buzzing, everyone having a great time. Isaac was in the spotlight, catching up with everyone and sharing stories from his time in prison. He had a special bond with my daughter, Wendy, who used to be really close to him before all this mess happened. Laughter and lively chats echoed through the house. The smell of yummy food filled the air as we all enjoyed a feast fit for royalty. It was a special time for our family, filled with happiness and togetherness, which made my heart feel warm. Once the party ended and everyone left, we were still buzzing with excitement. We were thankful to see Isaac back with us, alive, happy, and healthy after his unfair time in prison. Life went back to normal, and it felt like the drama in our family had calmed down, at least for a little while. But sadly, that happy feeling didn't last long. A couple of days after the party, I was sitting in the living room, lost in a book, when Wendy burst in looking scared and angry. I quickly put my book down and went to her side, worried about what had happened. "Wendy, what's the matter? You look really scared." "Tell me what's going on," I said, my voice filled with worry. Tears were rolling down Wendy's cheeks as she struggled to catch her breath. "Mom, I found something. A camera. Hidden in one of my plants." My heart raced and I felt a surge of fear. A hidden camera in my daughter's room. It made my blood boil. But I had to stay calm for Wendy. We hurried to her room, my mind racing with questions. And there it was, tucked away among the leaves of her favorite plant. A tiny camera, invading her privacy. How long had it been there? I felt a mix of disgust, fear, and anger rising inside me. I wasted no time and called Eric right away, my voice shaky with a mix of feelings as I shared the shocking news. "Eric, you won't believe what I just found out. There's a hidden camera in Wendy's room. We need to act fast." Eric sounded both concerned and furious. "I'm coming over, Stacy. We're not going to let this slide. Our daughter deserves her privacy, and whoever did this will pay for it." While we waited for Eric, Wendy clung to me, her tears soaking my shirt. She blamed herself for not noticing the camera sooner, but I assured her it wasn't her fault. I promised to support her through this unsettling situation. When Eric arrived, his eyes reflected our emotions, anger barely contained beneath a calm surface. We carefully examined the camera, searching for any clues that could lead us to the person responsible. It was a betrayal of trust that hurt deeply, and we were determined to uncover the truth. The invasion of our safe space shattered the feeling of security we had worked so hard to build for our family. We needed to take action quickly, not only to protect our daughter, but also to restore our peace of mind. If there was one hidden camera in Wendy's room, who knew how many more might be lurking elsewhere in our home? "Don't worry, Wendy. We won't stop until we find out who did this," I reassured her. "Thanks, Mom. Can I please nap in the guest room?" "I don't feel comfortable in mine right now, and I'm really tired," Wendy asked. "Of course, sweetheart. You do what you need to feel safe." "I'm so sorry this happened," I replied gently. Wendy headed to the guest room, likely wanting some time alone after her privacy had been violated. I couldn't shake off the feeling of malice. Who could do something like this? We decided to review the footage, gather any evidence we could find, and involve the authorities if necessary. Nobody messes with our family like this. Though I was shaken, I found comfort in knowing Eric and I were on the same page. We sat together in the quiet of our living room, the seriousness of the situation weighing heavily on us. Our minds raced, trying to figure out who could have planted the camera in Wendy's room. As we talked it through, one name kept coming up: Isaac. I broached the subject carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. The timing is hard to ignore. The camera was likely planted during the family gathering, and who had the opportunity? Isaac. "Stacy, you can't seriously think Isaac would do something like this." "Yes, he's had his problems, but he's not a creep. He's my brother, for crying out loud," Eric protested. I understood Eric's reaction completely. Family bonds are strong, and suspecting a relative of such a violation feels almost unthinkable. But I couldn't ignore the clues that seemed to point towards Isaac's involvement during the family gathering. Gathering my thoughts, I spoke softly but firmly. Eric, I know it's tough to consider, but we have to face reality. Isaac spent a lot of time with Wendy at the gathering, which suggests he may have had some interest in her. Plus, he just got out of prison. People change, and their experiences can influence their actions. Our priority is to protect our daughter, even if it means questioning those closest to us. Eric looked weighed down by the situation, torn between loyalty and the evidence. Eventually, he nodded slowly, his voice filled with a mix of resignation and discomfort. I don't want to believe it, Stacy, but you're right. The timing and circumstances are hard to ignore. We have to find out the truth for Wendy's sake. The idea of confronting Isaac about the betrayal weighed heavily on our minds, but we knew it was necessary. The safety of our home and our daughter depended on it. As we braced ourselves for the tough conversation ahead, we promised to approach it with care and empathy. Finding the truth was crucial not just for our own peace, but to protect Wendy from any further harm. Days passed, and Eric struggled with conflicting feelings, loyalty to his brother versus the nagging suspicion in the back of his mind. The tension strained our relationship with Isaac and cast a shadow over our family as we grappled with uncertainty. A plan started to take shape in my mind. Risky, but it felt necessary to catch the culprit. I shared my idea with Eric, suggesting that hosting another family gathering could be the key to uncovering the truth. Think about it, Eric. Whoever planted that camera might try to retrieve it during another family event. This gathering, meant for bringing us together, could give us the chance to catch them in the act. Eric hesitated, still torn between his loyalty to his brother and the need to uncover the truth. But as I explained the urgency of our situation, he eventually agreed that we had to explore every option before getting the authorities involved. It was a tough choice, but necessary to protect our family and regain our sense of safety. I called Tina, Isaac's wife, to propose the idea of another family gathering. Hey Tina, we were thinking of having another family get-together. Are you and Isaac free to join us? Tina's response was surprisingly enthusiastic. She eagerly accepted, expressing her excitement for another gathering. It struck me as a bit odd, since she was usually more reserved, but I brushed it off, thinking she was just happy for family time. With the plans in motion, Eric and I focused on getting everything ready. Our home buzzed with anticipation and tension. We checked every corner for signs of intrusion, aiming to create a sense of normalcy while secretly preparing to catch the culprit. The stakes were high as the day of the gathering drew near, and our family's future hung in the balance. I felt a mix of nerves and determination. We were stepping into the unknown, but we were prepared to face whatever came our way to keep our daughter safe and our home secure. When the day arrived, our home filled with familiar faces once more. Excitement buzzed in the air, but underneath tension simmered. Uncle Isaac, ever charming, greeted everyone warmly, but Eric and I couldn't shake our suspicions. They loomed over us, casting a shadow on the festivities. To ensure Wendy's safety, we made the tough call to keep her away from the gathering, arranging a sleepover with a friend without revealing our concerns. With her gone, our focus sharpened, and we kept a watchful eye on anyone near her room. As the party started, laughter and chatter masked our true intentions. Eric and I played the part of hosts while secretly watching for any suspicious behavior. Our detective skills were in full swing. As the night went on, the music and dancing created a lively atmosphere, masking our true intentions. But amidst the celebration, I couldn't ignore Tina's strange behavior. She kept excusing herself, rushing off to the bathroom with an unusual urgency. My instincts kicked in, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Driven by curiosity, I decided to approach her. When Tina headed towards the bathroom once more, I followed quietly, my heart racing. But instead of going inside, she turned and entered Wendy's room. Panic surged through me. I knew I had to confront her, to uncover the truth behind her actions. Stepping forward, I called out her name, my voice tinged with both accusation and concern. Tina, what are you doing in Wendy's room? Startled, Tina spun around, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. But there was no escaping the truth. The tension between us thickened, heavy with unspoken accusations. I asked you a question, Tina. What are you doing in my daughter's room? Tina's facade cracked, tears welling in her eyes. Her voice shook as she said, "I was just looking for Wendy. I was surprised she wasn't with us for the party." "You were going through her drawers," I pointed out, my tone unwavering. Tina looked down, realizing her hands were still in the drawer she'd been searching. I can explain." "Save it." The person we least expected, the one we had staunchly defended, had betrayed our trust. The room swirled with a whirlwind of disbelief and disappointment. I motioned for Eric to join me, and he rushed over, assuming we had caught Isaac in Wendy's room. But his expression turned to shock when he saw it was Tina. "You planted that camera, didn't you? Why, Tina? Why would you do something like this?" Eric demanded, his voice laced with anger and pain. Without hesitation, Eric called Isaac over to Wendy's room, his tone firm and commanding. Isaac, sensing the urgency, quickly joined us, confusion written all over his face. As Isaac stepped into the room, his gaze fell on Tina, tears streaming down her cheeks. Before anyone could say another word, Eric quietly closed the door, shielding the rest of the party from the unfolding drama. Taking a deep breath, I steadied my voice as I began to explain everything. I recounted the shocking discovery of the camera in Wendy's room, the invasion of their privacy that had shattered their trust. My words hung heavy in the air, the truth weighing down the room. "We planned this gathering, Isaac, to catch whoever planted the camera. And to be honest, we initially suspected you." "Bro, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you, especially after everything with prison," Eric interjected, his voice filled with regret. "But it was mostly me who accused you, Isaac. I'm truly sorry. After finding Tina here, I realized you weren't involved." Isaac's brows furrowed, confusion clouding his expression as he looked between Stacy, Eric, and Tina. He turned to Tina, seeking answers. "Tina, why were you in Wendy's room? What's going on?" "We caught Tina going through Wendy's things. She's the one who planted the camera. Now that everyone's here, Tina, you need to explain yourself. Why would you do something like this?" Tina's eyes darted around the room, searching for support, but Isaac's shock mirrored the confusion in the room. He couldn't understand why Tina would do something so invasive, especially to her own family. Okay, you got me. Yes, I planted the camera in Wendy's room. I was just coming to take it back." "We already know that. We caught you. We want to know why," Eric pressed. "Because I'm jealous, okay," Tina blurted out. Tina's confession hung heavy in the air, exposing her jealousy for all to see. She admitted, with a mix of shame and frustration, that her actions were driven by envy towards Wendy. She had noticed Isaac and Wendy talking a lot during the last family gathering, and it sparked jealousy within her. She questioned what made Wendy so special, what drew Isaac's attention and affection towards her. Isaac felt the need to defend himself, his voice tinged with defensiveness and genuine concern. "Tina, you know I care about Wendy, but not in a weird way. Being her uncle is important to me. I was just checking on her, making sure she was okay. It was out of love and family concern, nothing strange." "But why were you always praising Wendy? It made me wonder what was so great about her," Tina countered, her jealousy still evident. "So you're upset because I'm proud of being an uncle?" "Tina, is there something wrong with being proud of my niece? I have every right to support and appreciate Wendy. It's not about playing favorites, it's just genuine love for family." "I didn't expect you to react like this." Trying to navigate the emotions in the room, I turned to Tina. "What were you hoping to find by planting the camera? What did you think you'd uncover?" "I just wanted to see how Wendy lives, you know. Maybe if I understood her better and acted like her, I could get the same attention from you, Isaac. I wanted to feel valued like she is." "You're acting crazy, Tina. Jealous of a teenager. That's messed up," Isaac snapped, his frustration evident. After an awkward silence that could rival a library, Eric decided to end the party. "Good call," I agreed. "The last thing we need is to keep partying after discovering Tina's true colors. The resident creep of the year." Once the relatives were gone, it was just Eric and me left to deal with the fallout of Tina's actions. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. I unleashed a verbal storm on Tina, making a sailor blush. I mean, who does that? Who plants a camera in their niece's room? Sick, that's who. Isaac looked lost, disappointment written all over his face. I guess he couldn't believe what his wife had done. Can't say I blame him. I'd be equally stunned if my partner turned out to be a lunette. As the dust settled and our emotions ran dry, Eric and I found ourselves sitting in our once cheerful home, now tainted by one family member's sinister acts. The next day, when Wendy returned, it fell to me to break the news to expose the twisted truth. Tears filled Wendy's eyes as I recounted the violation of her privacy. The poor girl, innocent and unsuspecting, couldn't believe someone in our own family could do something so awful. Mom, I never imagined this could happen, especially from Tina. Seriously. Wendy's disbelief mirrored my own. I shook my head, struggling to comprehend it myself. I know it's hard to believe. Tina's really crossed a line. With Wendy in my arms, her tears staining my shoulder, I made her a promise. We were going to fight back. Pressing charges was just the beginning. Tina needed a reality check, and we were ready to give it to her. Her tearful eyes met mine, seeking reassurance. But Mom, how is Uncle Isaac doing? I sighed, the weight of our shattered family hanging heavily in the air. Honestly, he's struggling. It's hard for him to celebrate his freedom knowing he's married to someone who's acted so terribly. So, are they getting a divorce? I don't know, sweetheart. I hate what she's done to us. Me too. But right now, our priority is your safety. We're getting a restraining order against Tina so she won't come near you again. We're pressing charges and getting a restraining order against Tina, the one with the camera, and the bond between Isaac and our family, it's strained, shattered by this betrayal. There's an awkward silence between us, a reminder of how far jealousy can go. But we're determined to rebuild and find comfort in those who truly care. The road ahead might be tough, but we're ready to face it. Our family's love will help us through.